Hello and welcome to episode 54 of In PS We Trust, a PlayStation podcast. My name is Davey and joined, as always, by the fine wine himself, Philip Hoy.
We the ones.
I never know what any of these references are. I wish I did, though. I wish I could pick up on what some of them are, but I never know. I never know where you get them from. Is there like a book that you get these references from?
It kind of all depends what I'm doing directly before the podcast, and that was a wrestling one. So shout out to Potato Chief for that one. That's from the Usos, who are the tag team champions at the moment. We the ones.
Thank you for clearing that up. And of course, joined as always by the Phantom Menace himself, Spencer Davis. How the hell are you today?
Dear the twos. Yeah, I'm good. Sound mate. Yeah. Thanks for having me. I love this show. Always wanted to be on it.
It's almost like you watch wrestling.
Yeah.
Because that's what they say.
Is it?
We the ones, and they're the twos.
Oh, let's go. Let's go.
There we go.
So
you got it. Nice.
When did wrestling get to this level? Remember when it was just like smashing people's candy ass, or just drinking beers and throwing them out to the crowd? When did it become this? We're the ones with fuck off. Put someone through a table. That's what I want to see. I want to see some bra and panties matches. I want to see some chaos that used to happen like every Monday night on Raw. And it's just gone soft now. It's not what it used to be. We were born in that generation that just had it too good and we didn't realize what we had. Goddamn shame. Parking WWE or WWF for all you true believers out there, you know who you are. Guys, we always start the show off with a bang and we kick it off with a question. And today's question is, of course, Phil's. What have you got for us today?
So, Davey, as you may know, Elon Musk now owns Twitter. He stormed in the front gates with the kitchen sink and he dropped it and said, "Has it sank in yet?" He made sure to fire the people that were previously against him, and now he's going to open up the platform to freedom of speech, apparently. So my question to you lads is, if you could buy any company, you've got all the money in the world, you could buy one company, which company would it be? And what would be your first change? I'm coming over to Spencer first.
Okay, well, immediate gut answer is Amazon, because big Jeff Bezos is the richest fella in the world, and I wouldn't change a goddamn thing. That'd be me. That is it. All I would change is his lack of hair, because it'd be me. I wouldn't want to be bald. And then, bang, I'm just rich. We're doing this in a freaking studio, boys. What a great time.
You don't become him. You are still you when you take over, right? So you still keep your own hair.
Oh,
And of course, if you've got hair problems, you know who to come to. Samson the implanter from the previous episode, obviously.
It's true. Although if I am ashamed, I could just go invisible. No one would know.
That's very true.
But,
Spence, I got a question for you with this, Spence. I do want to know. It's been rumoured for ages, right, that Amazon are going to bring in drones to start delivering packages. Would you bin off all the workplace and replace them by drones? Or do you think you'd be exactly the same as it is now? Fuck the drones off. Fuck the future. Keep the people.
This sounds like a bit of a me question, isn't it? You know, I'd replace the whole workforce with robots, Gundams, obviously, and Transformers, you know, controlling Amazon. But over to Spencer, what would you do?
Well, if I bought the company, if I'm somehow rich enough that I now own Amazon, I mean, I think if I was rich enough, I wouldn't buy fuck all. I think I'd just live a glamorous life. But if I bought Amazon, I would leave it 1-to-1, exactly the same, not touch a thing. I'd keep Jeff Bezos in employment. So he's still doing everything. I'm just getting the pocket change. And that is it. That company makes bag. Why would I alter that? I'm just happy to receive it. It's good.
Good job there's no shots on these questions, because I did say you had to change one thing, but if you're going to change my rules, that's totally fine. We'll move on to Davey. Davey, what company are you taking over, and what change are you going to make when you walk through?
Easy as hell. I'm buying PlayStation, and I'm making Resistance a new game. That's the change that I want to see in the world. You can go as crazy as you want with this. I was thinking I could maybe buy Haribo's and bring back those little bursting bug sweets. Remember those? They were banging back in the day. They were great. I don't know if Haribo made them. I think it was probably Roundtree's, but you know, the parent company.
So buy Haribo just in case. You could still make them, right?
Why not? Yeah. But my heart is telling me I'm never going to see a Resistance game for the rest of my life. And it just makes me sad. And so I've got no choice but to buy out the company and put every studio on new Resistance IP. We're going to drown the market, boys. From having none, we're going to make nothing but Resistance for at least 2 years. And, we'll have a Resistance card game. We'll have a Resistance mobile game. Resistance free-to-play shooter. Resistance proper shooter. Resistance digital graphic novel. Whatever. Chuck it, flood the market. I want to be to the point that I'm so sick of Resistance, I want a hiatus from it. That's how badly I want this to happen.
Good job you're friends with Spencer, because he's got the logistics down. As soon as you start flooding the market with all these products, you've got the Resistance Nerf gun, you've got the Resistance kettle, for example, you've got the Resistance, laptop cover. You could ship them all through Amazon and make a pretty penny, couldn't you?
That's true. We could work in teams on this. Chimera beer. There's a market
I like
here.
that.
Yeah, you could have the red label like you got with like a Bud bottle, but you could just have the skull on it like on Resistance 3. Oh, that'd be a nice bottle.
What are you drinking tonight, Phil? A little bit of red, but red Resistance beer.
Oh yeah.
I could see that.
Drinking Chimera Red. It's a classic. Brewed in 1978. The year the Chimera took over. It didn't actually happen. And it didn't happen in 78, it happened in the 50s. But carry on. So yeah, that's my dream. That's my dream, lads. It's very simple. And one day it might happen. What about yourself, Phil? What would you do?
Well, Davey, I'm glad you went down the gaming route. Although I do want to pass it back to Spencer quite quickly, because Amazon, they make games. Is there anything you would do in the gaming sphere with Amazon? Because, what was it, New World, I think, was their game, their latest game? And that didn't really hit the high heights which we were promised. Was there anything there that maybe you would change, being such a passionate gamer?
Mate, I know exactly what I'd do with that. I'd shut it down. It'd be gone. That's a waste of Amazon's profits. What are we doing trying to make games? Get it in the bin and put it in my wallet, fam. Gone. I did also have another idea, but Phil, I'll let you answer your own question first and then maybe pass it back to me, because I might have changed my mind on what I want to do.
Okay. Well, as you guys know, and the listeners know and the viewers know, I'm a massive fan of a particular game. What might that be? So I'm going to buy Bethesda Softworks, guys. That's the studio I'm going to buy. I'd walk into their Rockville office in Maryland. I demand that they put back into production Wayne Gretzky's hockey. Bring it back, guys. The initial release was back in 1988. Like, I was 2, 3. I was young when that first game came out. And I miss ice hockey games. I'm not saying I played that original game, but I remember growing up, had the Sega Mega Drive, and I played the fuck out of NHL games. What the hell is ice hockey? What the hell is icing? I don't know. I'd never even seen it on TV. I didn't know what the hell it was as a kid. But by God, I love the games. We need to bring those back to the UK market. I could see that working, guys, couldn't you?
He's a household name around here, Wayne Gretzky. And there's a severe lack of products that back up Wayne Gretzky. I mean, I got the coaster set and I got the mugs, but you don't really see an awful lot. I mean, we're going into winter now. There's not a Wayne Gretzky drink that's in Starbucks. I can't get Wayne Gretzky branded ice. There's a huge amount of cachet in that name that's just waiting. It's like a gold mine that's just waiting to be discovered. We're looking to find that vein and we just dig down until we got everything Wayne Gretzky. I can see it. Be a great idea. And you could have a contender against NHL. And there hasn't been a good NHL game in quite a while. So bring it on. Get Bethesda doing something decent for once. That'd be quite nice.
I can't believe. When was Wayne Gretzky first mentioned on the podcast? How long has it been? It's been about as long since the game released. It's been that long, and it comes back. It comes straight back, and Phil, what a fantastic idea. We'd be having the locals, freaking Ultimate Gamer, playing Wayne Gretzky. Oh my god, what a fantastic night we could have.
Can you just put yourself there in the local tournaments? Everyone's there playing Smash or the new Street Fighter, and I break out the Wayne Gretzky's. We go mano a mano, 1-on-1 on the ice, and we fight it out. Top of Wales, top of the UK. I'm going over to Evo to play Wayne Gretzky. I'm going to punch up Reinhardt. My God, I can see it, guys. Bring it on.
One day we'll have to actually play that game because it'd be so funny if it's tragically bad. It would be so good. It would be so much better, I think, if it's total shit. Like, it doesn't run like very well, crashes all the time. Like, you can't even see the puck or anything. Oh, I just got a morbid curiosity to play this game. And if it takes you bringing it back to make that a reality, that's a great, great choice, Phil.
And if I don't receive it for my birthday, I'm going to keep bringing it up until I do, okay? It's just around the corner, November 14th. My wish list, I'll post it on Twitter for all the listeners and viewers. Thanks.
Spence, you said you had another idea that you wanted to bring to the table? Walking it back from Amazon?
Yeah, I had another company in mind.
So you've still got some change, Spence?
Yes.
You bought Amazon? How rich are you?
The thing
you're going way out of the box here. I've said one company, I've said make a change. You've gone Amazon, I'm making no changes, and I've still got money over. I'm going for my second company.
This is the big thing. I bought Amazon, shut down the games, and then I just left with profit. So what should I do? Buy another company. What company am I going to buy? It's going to be an expensive one. Tencent. I'm going to buy Tencent. They got their fingers dipping in every single game studio that exists. And they're in PlayStation. They're in everything. But no one likes them. Because, well, they're fucking evil. It's an evil, evil thing. It's all dirty money. So what would I do? I'd put the money to good use in my pocket. And then that is it.
You'd be eviler.
I'd be so much more evil.
So
It'd be in my pocket. I'd use the connections. I'd use the connections they've got. Get the seat on every board in the world. I'd have a seat.
So
and I'd Zoom call in, ring up, and I'd be like, "Yo, is that making us enough money? Nah. Change that. Make me more." And that's how it goes.
I like what Spencer's done here. He's quickly Googled the biggest companies in the world, right? The richest companies in the world. And he thought, I've got unlimited money. I'll just work down. So I've gone Amazon, I've gone Tencent. What's third on the list, Spence? You've still got change. You're still buying them up. You're just going to rule the world and just take all the money. What's the man need? Like, what do you buy after you've bought all the biggest companies in the world? What do you do with that money? You've already bought Amazon and Tencent.
Buy some beverages.
Beers for the boys.
Beers for the boys.
Buy a studio. Buy some recording equipment. Beverages.
What I like is this idea is that you're buying out the Chinese government. You've gone from buying out just Amazon to actually like bankrolling and buying out like an entire communist dictatorship kind of thing. You're just like, yeah, do you know what? We've started with a massive company. Let's buy the fucking country. And you just gone in and just boom, bought them. And the Chinese government are like, oh, we didn't set ourselves up for this. And you just coming in, whoa, going into like Chinese court or whatever the hell they do over there. Hey, lads, like doming them all on the eggs. They're all like bowled or whatever. Hey, bevs for the boys. I don't know how long you'd last in power, but it'd be quite fun to see that degradation happen before my very eyes.
Hey, Davey, you better start being nicer to Spencer, because otherwise he's going to buy out PlayStation. You're a far bigger company than me with Bethesda. I'm small fry. He's not going to see me operating on the DL. He's going to see you and think, I'm going to buy Davey out. You're next on my hit list. I'm going to buy you out and take all that money and put it in my pocket. Got big pockets.
You will be doing no PS stars. No PS stars at that point. It'll all be shut down. You'll be well happy, Phil. But let's move it on over. Let's move it on to what you've been drinking, lads. We're talking about beverages, talking about Spence supplying the world with beverages for the boys. So what have you brought to the table today? Spence, we'll start with yourself.
I didn't really have time to buy beverages, and I do have work in the AM. So unfortunately, I'm not joining you boys on the beers. If you are on the beers, I don't know yet. What I am drinking, because I can't be going parched. Let's be real. Fanta. Just Fanta. Just nicked it from work on my way out. Love a bit of Fanta, me.
Sugar free?
They don't sell sugar-free in Domino's, unfortunately. so no. So minging teeth.
I mean, Fanta though, because you got that vitamin C that's there, it kind of helps alleviate that feeling you get. We have to scrub the teeth, doesn't it? You don't really get that as much with like a fruity beverage than you do with something that's just straight up syrup, which is Coke. So it's a wise choice. I mean, probably good for you on some level. It's probably got some remnant of orange in it somewhere down the line. Have you got a percentage on orange included in that? I tell you what, squash is going to be way more healthy than this.
I'm going to have a nose, mate. So, verbatim, I'll read.
No, not all of it. Not all of it.
No.
0.74%
4
aqua.
hours.
Yeah. E32 colouring. No.
Oh, I'll tell you what. Orange juice from concentrate, 3.7. Citrus fruit from concentrate, 1.3.
Ooh.
And they say in PS We Trust doesn't bring the facts. They are facts, man. Hard-hitting facts. So shove that up your Twitterverse.
You're talking about 5% concentrate of fruit juice in there. I wonder what concentrate it is.
Yeah.
This is the next big question. I'll have to write into Fanta and find out for me, Spence. I need to know what kind of concentrate we're talking here. 20 times Kaioken level? We'll never know. We'll have to wait. The Kaioken Fanta or Tango, whatever it is you're drinking. Fanta,
Fanta, mate. Never Tango.
Tango's great. Anyway, Philippoi, what about yourself?
Well, Davey, I've got an admission. I've got a sad tale to tell you. I woke up in the morning and thought, I'm going to take out some meat. I'm going to put it on top of the counter and let it defrost. And I forgot. So I didn't have any food when I sat down to watch my wrestling before recording the podcast tonight. So I had to go out for takeout. And where did I go? You're right. My favourite, KFC. And I'm coming through strong because I've still got some Fanta left. So I'm joining you on the Fanta tonight, Spence.
Oh my God.
There it is.
Double Fantas tonight, lads. Oh my God.
It's a Fanta episode tonight,
Oi, oi.
baby.
Well, I'm glad you're talking about Fanta, because no, I'm on the Reds. I'm on the classic, I'm on the podcast, but I'm on the big bottles. You look at the size of this bottle. You know, like on like an episode of like Blacked or something, where they get, the dong and they hold it up. It's like that but with this bottle. It's a monster.
How do we know though, Davey? Because you're known for having quite small hands.
Yeah, but this is against my head.
It might just be a normal size bottle, but small hands.
You're saying I got like a pea head? My head is. I've never.
Yeah, small head, small hands.
Small head, small hand. Well, I've never heard that before, but this is
It's said behind your back, not to your face.
Fair enough. That's something else we need to be self-conscious about. Oh, let's move the show on.
This time on NPS We Trust, what have the boys been playing?
So guys, it's been 2 weeks since the last podcast episode, and I'm desperate to know what you've been up to during that time. Philippoi, last time we spoke on the last episode, you hadn't been playing an awful lot because, you'd been ill, you had, life-ending man flu, which of course, as we know, as we said last time, is the worst thing that can possibly happen to a person. So I'm expecting you to have at least played a game. What have you been up to?
Well, Davey, up until today, I hadn't played any games because off the back of the illness, I was on holiday. I was over in Italy for a couple of days with my family, which was awesome. And I only took my Steam Deck and completed the game Transistor, which I can't really talk about because it's not a PlayStation game, but onto the game I've played today. And it came out today. It was the DLC for Resident Evil 8, Echoes of Rose. And guys, it's a story about family and superpowers. And we know how that went last time, don't we, with Alice and her powers? Even though I did enjoy the movies, that didn't go particularly well when she started getting superpowers. But I'm happy to say, Echoes handles it very, very well. And it's a good way for us to get to know a little bit more about Rose. She never feels overpowered through the story, I'm happy to report. And ultimately, you get to learn a little bit more about her relationship with her father, Ethan. I'm glad to say, also, for me personally, I know this doesn't relate to the masses, the millions and millions of our fans on Twitter and on Spotify, but the DLC wasn't region locked. So I got to play it on my US account. I bought the DLC on my UK account and with my UK version of the game. So thank you, Capcom, for working that out, because previous times, Spider-Man, I wasn't able to play the DLC because they region locked it. So naughty, naughty. But thanks to Capcom, I was able to play it today. On my US account and got some trophies for it. I didn't fully platinum it because I haven't played the multiplayer yet, so there's a couple of trophies there for mercenaries to go through. I thoroughly enjoyed the experience of the DLC though. It took around 3 hours and 20 minutes to complete. I did it on the standard difficulty for my first playthrough. As we know, DLC for Resident Evil tends not to be that strong. I'm referring mostly to Resident Evil 5 and Lost Nightmares and Desperate Escape because they were terrible. But for me, this one is a solid 8 out of 10. I would highly recommend you play this. It definitely adds a little bit more to the story, and it kind of fills in the gap between the end of the game and the part where Chris picks her up, or I think one of Chris's team picks her up at the end of the story in 8. So yeah, good stuff, guys, all round.
Wow. Well, I'm glad to hear that you're going so high with an 8 out of 10 on this. Of course, Resident Evil 8, when it first came out, was our game of the year that year. A game that we were absolutely smitten with. And we've been anticipating this DLC for quite a long time. Now, with it only just coming out today and me being in work, I haven't had a chance to even remotely boot it up yet. I got it installed all ready to go. So I'm hoping to get it done this weekend and play through it. Do you find that with the new power set, and be careful not to spoil anything, especially for me in this, with the new power set, does it still feel like a Resident Evil through and through?
Well, I would say yes. The powers are relatively unique for the series. 100% unique for the series. And you don't really get fully powered up until maybe the last fight. It's sort of a gradual build. So I could possibly see, if she's returning in a further game, that she possibly would become that overpowered Alice character, and that's what happened with the movies. But I'm really happy to say with this DLC, they handle it very, very well. And as I said earlier, you never feel overpowered as you're transitioning through the 3 different surroundings within the game. You get to visit the castle. You get to visit the very spooky house that I'm sure you're going to be looking forward to, Davey. And then, of course, you get to see a little bit of the Mega Mycete at the end, which is cool. Not to give too much away from the story. I'm still trying to be spoiler-free, but those are the 3 places you do visit. And you never feel overpowered with it all. So it's pretty good. We've been waiting a fair amount of time for this update. It's a year and sort of 6 months, I think. I think it came out in sort of May 2021, I think, the original game. So about a year and 6 months. So it's been a while waiting for this, and it's good. It really is.
Oh, nice. Oh, looking forward to getting into that. Getting my hands all over that pie this weekend. I cannot wait for it. Whew. Oh. Spence, have you got any questions you want to ask about Resident Evil 8 DLC?
Absolutely not. I don't want to know a thing. I'm not asking anything. No way. I've been quiet for a reason. I don't want to know.
Well, Phil, I know that both me and Spencer, we want to press you a little bit, but we also don't want to know a goddamn thing at this point. So we're going to move on from that and go on to some of the other games we have been playing.
I'm doing my best to hold back because I really want to tell you all about it, because it is tremendous, really. An 8 out of 10 is pretty high praise. But I'm sure we can discuss it when you guys have completed it, probably on the next episode then.
Definitely on the next episode, for sure. We'll all have played it by that point, give our ratings, and if it demands it, we could always go off into a bit more of a spoiler conversation. If anybody wants to hear that, let us know. Write into the email, put a comment on YouTube, whatever, and we can always record that as a separate thing to put up alongside an episode. Not a bother at all. I know we're all going to be, frothing for it, so why the hell not? Let's go for it. We had to put
book it in right now, mate.
Yeah, we had to put a bloody.
We'll stay up
button
late
in.
tonight and do it.
Yeah, we had to put a button in to stop us talking about the goddamn thing. So any excuse to talk about it is always a good time for me. But Spencer, you and me been playing a game recently, and we spoke about it in the last episode, which is Alien Nation. But we've put in a hell of a lot more hours into this game compared to where we were 2 weeks ago. I want to know your thoughts on the game.
Tremendous. This game, Alienation, is sick. Absolutely goated. I mean, we've beaten the game. Just beat the campaign. We've hit max level on our main characters. And we've leveled quite a lot in, I think, their hero levels, I think they're called. And it's a trophy to get level 100 in that. So I think I'm like level 112 and you're like level 190. You've played considerably more than I have. So you're going to be able to go a lot more in depth. But I love this game and the weapons it gives you, the enemies, insect, aliens. Is there anything you want to kill more than insect aliens? No. What a great time.
And we said last time, we said last time about this that, you know, we found that it had its hooks in us, that we were really like kind of vibing with this. I've never felt so focused on wanting to get something done, and I've never regretted not putting a bet on more than I have now. Because listeners, I said last time it might take till 2023, but I've gone and got the platinum. Ooh, that's a platinum. It's done. It's in the bag. Platinum 106. In the bag. Ready to rock. Getting my PS stars rewards for doing all that stuff. And just having a generally great time with it. It was a game experience that I started and ended. And even though I finished it and got the platinum, I want to play more. I had to do 3 full runs. As Spence said, on my main character, I'm level 189 or something daft. I just want to do more. And I still kept it installed, Spence. I haven't done the really satisfying close and delete after the platinum, so I can assist you with getting your platinum trophy. The only issue is, we've got another little game that came out today. Listeners, we're recording this on the 28th of October. That's a Friday. And it could be a Friday like any other. But this Friday. This Friday! Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 is out! It's here! We've got it! We beat the multiplayer! We started the campaign! We are laying destruction down on the noobs! The day ones! Bring them on! Krakatoa has never seen so much fury, so much rage pouring in. I'm pumped. I'm ready. I want to know your thoughts on it, Spencer. What do you think of Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2?
My God.
Well, thank you for that introduction to the game, mate. I appreciate that. So far, last night, you and I were playing Alienation, the game we just spoke about, when suddenly we got a notification at the same time in the top right of our screen just saying, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, this add-on is now available, or something along those lines, or is now playable. And we both went, is that the multiplayer? And as soon as we finished that Alienation mission, straight into COD, and we went, it's the multiplayer. And we booted it. We joined a party, got into one game, first game, and we both just, well, you said it first, you were like, oh, this game's so sick. We hadn't started moving yet. Nothing happened yet. It started to count down to get into the game. It was like 5, 4, you were like, oh my God, it's time. This game's so good. Nothing had happened. We hadn't moved. And then as soon as I was like, mate, I know it's time. It's finally time. And then as soon as I started moving, I was like, oh, you're right, mind. This game's sick. I pressed forward. And I was like, yes, this is the game. It's time. And we played for like what? Maybe 3 hours, maybe a bit less. We haven't played too much of it, but
way later than I should have. I said to you that night, I was like, I can stay for 2 games. I can stay for 2. I got work in the morning, 2 games max. Went to bed, it was like 3:30. I was fucking destroyed today. Absolutely destroyed today. Slept right through my alarm. I was like, yeah, I'm going into the office. Did I hell? I stayed at home. I was like, no chance. Absolutely no chance. That alarm was a distant memory, mate, because of Call of Duty. I was just hearing bullets whizzing past me and explosions in my mind. I was just jumping around corners in my sleep. Just getting ready for unleashing the fury. What What a great time to be alive. So how are you finding this compared to the beta, Spence?
It's very different, actually. There's like a lot of small, minuscule changes, and it's footsteps, although they're still very prevalent, they are quieter, which is good. It is a good thing. Enemies are a lot more noticeable now, because camping was quite a big thing, and people could pick like head spots where you couldn't really see them. But now, if you aim at someone, the game kind of puts like a little red diamond thing kind of above them, so you know it's an enemy. And it just kind of makes them stand out a bit better, which I think is a good change. Also, when you get a kill in multiplayer now, there's a really satisfying like headshot sound that like you'd get if you were sniping, but you just get it all the time. And when you get a kill, you're like, yeah, he's dead. He's dead. Get milked. And it's just sick. It's just so sick. What a great game. But we got to experience some new maps, obviously, because the beta only had 3 maps. Embassy is the biggest pile of hot, flaming shit I have ever played. Listen, Activision, I know you watched the show. I know you do. Get rid of it. Just delete the map. It is trash. Terrible. Just delete it, please. For me. Just for me. You know, we're boys. We're boys. Activision, we're boys. I'm giving you beverages. Beverages for the boys. Delete Embassy, please.
Do you think the reason why you're hating it so much is because it's such a kind of chaotic map in terms of viewpoints, vantage points, lane system? It's pretty crazy, and it's a lot to learn. Whereas a lot of maps, by the end of the game, you can get a rough flow for where people are going to camp out, where they're going to be. You can get a rough idea of it 1 or 2 games in. Embassy is like the Crystal Maze. I have no idea. You know, I'm there trying to gather my golden tickets at the end, trying to at least score some points because I'm getting absolutely blasted to Kingdom Come on that map. You go out of somewhere and you're like, oh, dead. Oh, I didn't know there was a window there. Oh, I didn't know there was an alley right there. Oh, I didn't know that people were spawning directly behind me on this map. It just seems like one thing after another on Embassy. Do you think the more time we play on it, the less that's going to be an issue for us? We might end up coming round to this map?
Absolutely not. I get that with Call of Duty maps, and I understand when it's a skill issue. This is not a skill issue. Every single place you can go, you can be seen from everywhere around you. It's not even in the open. I don't know how they managed to do it. There's buildings and everything. You'd think, oh, I'm safe to my left here. No, you're not. You see someone in front of you, there's 4 of them to your left. How's that happening? And then if you go for the 4 on your left, well, you're probably not going to beat 4 people in a gunfight anyway, but then there's 2 on your right? What? It's like you're playing Warzone with 100 people, but there's only 6, and somehow all of them are looking at you from different places all the time, no matter where you are.
So, Spence, our friend GeoJackHD has been tweeting about the release of Call of Duty. I don't know if you've seen his tweets, but he's been complaining that IGN has rated this game a 6 out of 10, which is lower than Call of Duty Vanguard. Now, I know you're up on your COD. What do you feel about that?
That's specifically for the campaign, that is, though, isn't it, that rating? They haven't rated the multiplayer stuff yet. That's campaign-wise.
Campaign.
Oh, okay.
And to be fair, Spence, you are quite deep into the campaign. I think you're like, 7 missions in or something?
Yeah, I am. I'm a good number of missions in. I played it. Obviously, we got early access being on PlayStation, so I spent a day just playing it whilst I had some free time. The campaign's good. I think it's really good. I think the reason people don't rate it too highly, I think it's got the same issue that I have with Last of Us Part 2, which is, although the game's stunning, it is visibly stunning, it looks so much worse than the cutscenes. And it kind of makes the game look worse than it actually does. Which I guess to some people probably doesn't make sense, but to me it kind of stands out and I don't like it. The game is beautiful, but it just kind of, it bugs me, it irritates me. I like seeing in-engine cutscenes. So that's a big thing. And it's a remake, kind of a remake. It's supposed to be like the original Modern Warfare 2, and it's not. The campaign's so different, but it's kind of, it references the original game rather than being the same. And the original game had such legendary missions, like all gillied up and stuff. People wanted that back, just in a new coat of paint. And we don't have that. Just kind of nods to it instead. So I think that's why people are kind of frowning on it.
Is it the case that you needed to play the original Modern Warfare's campaign to actually pick up on some of this stuff, or is it pretty obvious that they're, where the story's going, what's happening within the campaign?
I think the campaign's very different, but it just has kind of references to the old one. I think you would prefer the campaign of this game if you'd never played the old one, because a lot of people want the same and they're not getting the same. And I think that's why people don't like it as much. But so far, I'm loving it. I am really loving it.
So I'm only 3 missions in at this point. So I'm very, very early into the campaign for Modern Warfare 2. But what I do like is that it's all the same characters that are introduced in the first one, in first Modern Warfare that came out back in like 2019. So it's all the same characters that are back. The classic characters from Modern Warfare. So the characters that you'd probably recognize, Phil. So you got like Price, you got Soap, you got Gaz. You got like the same guys that were in Modern Warfare 2 back in the day, or Modern Warfare, and they're all returning. But I do like that. I saw Gaz in the water level at the start of Amsterdam, and I was like, oh yeah, I remember that guy. I remember like the fight that you had in Soho and like in Leicester Square in Modern Warfare 1, and all this different kind of stuff. And I remember, oh, I know this guy. Like the characters like still kind of like hit that same kind of level with me. Now, the thing is that's going to be interesting is that Modern Warfare, the 2019 version, that campaign is one of the best shooter campaigns I think I've ever played. And I'm not even underselling that. Like, I'm not even overselling that, sorry. Like, that shooter campaign was actually incredible. Like, the missions where you're going in and there's an entire house and you're sweeping through and some are terrorists and some aren't, and you've got to clear all that out in Modern Warfare, was superb. Now, I don't know if any of that kind of level is here in Modern Warfare 2. I don't know if you can speak to that or not, Spence. And I'm conscious of spoilers here as well. So try and keep it top level.
There's definitely similar tones. But I wouldn't say anything's exactly the same as the original. But it's very similar in how it plays, I suppose. I'd keep it at that. I wouldn't really want to say any more.
Moving on quickly before you do spoil anything, Spence, maybe something you can speak to, because you played a little bit of this online. Have you experienced any issues with the game being online? This is Modern Warfare, after all. This is a COD title. It's legendary for having issues early on, which they all quickly patch, but, day ones, day twos, day threes, you're expecting some issues. Are we going to hear the Bug Hunter tune? That's what I'm asking you.
Oh, actually, I did have bugs. Actually, I did, but not with the multiplayer, with the campaign. So you can play the theme.
When walls are spinning all around you, you can't properly aim your gun. You find you're falling through the world. I'll hunt you down 'cause you're a bug. I find the bugs, the big bad bugs. The Bug Hunter.
That's the best thing we've ever done.
Yeah, I was going to
honestly,
say, I haven't heard that in ages. What a
love
great
it.
jingle.
It took me like
Absolutely love it.
20 minutes, and it's literally the best thing I've ever worked on. I've done reviews that have taken me days to put out. Days. I've spent like hours on just like creating a meme or some random little bollocks for a review. 20 minutes, and I created an absolute masterpiece. I bet that's what Picasso felt like with his stuff. Just chuck some random shit on a piece of paper, and all his stuff that he did is really good, like he did a nice sunset or something. No one gave a shit about that. They're like, oh, we'll just go for this one that's just a bit of yellow on a bit of white paper. And it's like, fuck's sake, all right. Took me 5 minutes, that. I was just wiping my brush on there, just cleaning it off. And then, I see my soul. I see the beauty of man. And he's like, yes, it is. And that's what happened. I don't even know what art he did. Yeah, I don't even know what art he even did. Don't even know art. Carry on, Spence. Tell me about your bugs.
So, I haven't had any bugs with multiplayer yet, but the campaign, like I said, I started it during the early access. It crashed 5 times within 20 minutes. 5 times. I started the first mission within 5 minutes of starting it. Crashed. And then I tried to reload from checkpoint. Loading screen pops up. Crash. that happened 4 more times where I was like, is there another way I can do this? Because I thought it was crashing because of the checkpoint loading. I thought it just didn't like me doing that. And I was right. So I went on the cards and said resume activity instead on PlayStation, and it didn't load from checkpoint. It just started the mission again, and then that fixed it for me. So 5 crashes within 20 minutes sucks. I literally just had to look at loading screens for 20 minutes instead of playing the campaign. And you and I, Davey, we did get a few crashes in the multiplayer as well. And it was weird because it always crashed for both of us at the same time, which I'd assume everyone in the lobby probably crashed, or at least everyone on PS5 all just crashed.
Yeah, I imagine they have. I mean, the thing about it is we've come a long way from where like Call of Duty, for example, or any games. You seem to be like every single game for like the entire the PS4 generation, where they'd launch and they just wouldn't work. Like they just would not work. You'd never find a game. You could never party up. You could never like voice wasn't working or something like that. There was always some issue like that. You don't have anything like that in this. Like it just works. It does work generally to get into a game, to play a game, and it run really, really well. You do, though, like you were saying, have these crashes and have these little things. I had one on the campaign, and it was, I had a spare hour, and I thought, I'll do a mission on COD. Why not? I'll do a couple of missions. I'll get started on the campaign. And I booted it up, and then halfway through booting up of like loading, it crashed, but it corrupted the file. And so it meant that I had to uninstall and reinstall the entire game again. And because it's like 130 gig and my internet's shit, it meant I couldn't play it until the next day. I was like, brilliant. I was like, brilliant. So I was like, fine, I'll just catch up on TV then. So I just watched My Hero Academia. But I was like, well, there goes my night's plans. It's a nightmare. With your guys' super fast internet, it would have been like a 10-minute disturbance. But for me, on this peasant internet I got over here in Cambran, that's like a fucking a day's venture. It was a nightmare. It was a nightmare. But by the time you come to it now, Phil, most of these bugs would have been eliminated because every single time I boot the game, it's having an update applied. They're patching the bollocks off this, so it's gonna be fine. I don't know if your SD I suppose thank God you upgraded your SD because it's getting pretty big.
Thanks to Amazon, I did update it in their Prime sale. So, Spence, when you do take over the company, don't eliminate the Prime days because they are brilliant.
They're gone.
Gone?
They are gone.
Hit me where it hurts.
They'll
Prime
still
days.
be there. They'll still be there. 5% off. That's the most I'll go. 5%. Because we got to entice some sales, you know. We've got to be a bit smart about it. But 5%, no higher. Never.
Hit me where it hurts. Well, I'm glad to hear that they are patching it pretty quickly because sometimes it does, pay to wait a little bit. And I did order it online, but it hasn't turned up today. I was expecting it through the post, but it did give me time to finish the Resident Evil DLC, which was pretty good for the podcast. But I'll be on to COD next week, so expect my feedback on next show, ladies and gentlemen.
So, boys, before we end this section, I actually have a little story I'd like to tell you, and I hope you'll indulge me. I'm sure you might hopefully be entertained. Maybe not. I mean, it's a story.
For those who aren't going to entertain Spencer's story, you can just press the little skip forward 30 seconds, okay? That's available in the podcast too.
Timestamps are in the description. You're welcome, listeners. But, courtesy of me, by the way. So, I've been on a quest as of late. A long quest. It's been about 6 months, maybe even longer. I've been on a quest for a PS Vita. And I just got a new job. I haven't started yet, but I wanted to celebrate. So I was going to buy a £150 Vita off eBay, a blue one. But then, genius struck me. It was like, that light bulb moment? I had a Vita. I had one 5 years ago, and I sold it for 40 quid. 40 quid because I was an idiot. I didn't check eBay or anywhere and I just sold it. And as I was about to buy this Vita for 150 quid, I thought, I wonder if the guy I sold it to still has it. And I messaged him. And he still had my Vita. So it's come back to me, and guess how much it cost?
I'm going to go 40 quid.
£20. 20. I made profit. This is the kind of genius I'd be bringing to Amazon. Absolute profit, money in the pocket, and I've still got a PS Vita. So the thing is, right, I'm a trophy hunter now. I like trophies. But I'm distracted. We got Call of Duty. We got bloody Resident Evil Village. I can't play those on the go. So now what can I do? I'm playing Resogun. I'm playing bloody... What else do I install? Helldivers. I'm not playing Street Fighter Cross Tekken, but it is installed. But I'm not playing that fucking
Shit game.
This.
Shit game, yeah.
The Vita, baby.
Are you going to say what you found on the store yesterday that blew my
Oh.
tits off? And this is something that, if you've got a PlayStation Vita out there, do yourself a favor, listen to what Spence is going to recommend, and get off your ass and buy it.
Should I say it? Or should I just play the intro through the mic?
Play the intro. Play the intro.
Here we are. This is what I found on the Vita. $7.99, by the way, bargain.
It's a PS1 game.
Ooh.
What could it be?
I can show it as well, actually. I'll do this. What's that? That's a bit bright.
I think it says Capcom, doesn't it?
Who knows?
Ah, there we go. Resi 3.
We won't go longer than that. It's a bit long.
Oh,
It's a long intro.
What a sick game. So to be able to have that on the go with you at all times, to have Jill Valentine close to your heart whenever you want her, she's there ready for you, waiting, as long as your battery allows it.
Close to your heart. Which pocket is he putting his Vita in? The top pocket on his shirt.
Oh, yeah, hanging right out, dangling over, like hitting you in the chin a little bit as you walk. That's what you want with Jill, right there, right on the bosom. Strap her to your chest. Just go out and just literally just
Bruv.
strap it across.
Don't be silly, mate. It's not going in any pocket. It's in the boxes, fam. Come on. And Jill Valentine, you're putting her in your pocket? Bruv. That's where I put my bag. That's all my Amazon profits and my 10-cent profits in there. I got my lady. My lady goes where she belongs. Trust me.
Well, on that bombshell, let's move it on to quick news. Quick news.
Right, guys, you've made it to quick news. It's that time of the show where we challenge each other to impressions and then read out some news for you guys. The theme of this week's news is WWE intros. So what I want you to do when I give you your character, I want you to cut a promo to the camera, and let's hear your best impression of said wrestler. So Davey, I'm going to come over to you first. I'm going to give you an easy one to start off with, okay? I'm going to give you The Rock.
The Rock, okay. WWE The Rock. I wish I could take this mic off. I'm just going to go for a classic. You ready? If you smell what The Rock is cooking. Quick news. Splinter Cell has got some news. That's right. Splinter Cell Remake, which was announced a little while ago, or kind of leaked a little while ago, has hit a bit of a snag. And that is the director has left the project. Now, I'm taking this directly from VGC, so I'm just going to pull that article up. And of course, for anyone we reference on Quick News, the article will be listed in the description of the podcast on YouTube or on all audio podcasts as well. So this is from VGC directly. I'm not going to read all of this, but I'll read a little part. So, David Grivell, the director of the upcoming Silent Hill remake, has left Ubisoft after 11 years, he has announced. Now, this was posted on his LinkedIn. He said it was time for him to go on a new adventure. Now, Grivell worked on Ghost Recon Future Soldier at Ubisoft Paris before moving to Ubisoft Toronto to work on Splinter Cell Blacklist, Assassin's Creed Unity, Far Cry 5, 4, and 6. Don't know why I said them out of order. And most recently, Splinter Cell Remake. Now, this is very early in the development of Splinter Cell. They announced only recently that they were still in the writing stage for this and trying to bring it to more modern-day audiences. So I'm hoping that it's so early in development that it's not going to have a major impact on the team, because I do really need to see Sam Fisher return. and hear those iconic night vision goggles. Now, Spencer, I'm coming across to yourself. I want to hear your John Cena. You're always saying you're invisible. I want to see the you can't see me over here.
Okay, that's quite a gimme as well. That's quite nice actually, because I was dreading this.
Starting nice. Phil's giving me something nice, so I think this is quite a nice round. Maybe this is like the easy round. We get progressively harder.
I don't know wrestling, so I'd rather you didn't. My only issue, boys, and this is a cop out, right?
Here we go.
I can't be loud like you. I'm not. My family's in bed. I can't scream like you just did, Davey. So I have to say it quietly, which gives it no impact. So it's just not going to be good. It's just going to be bad. Just the way it is.
Your parents were having a fucking pay-per-view match an hour ago downstairs. I think you can be loud for 30
and it
seconds.
tuckered them out. It tuckered them out, and now they're in bed. So if they wake up, they're going to be livid. All right. It's just all he does, isn't it? It's the, you can't see me. Quick news. So guys, Discord is imminent on PlayStation. There have been screenshots circulating around showing the voice chat app being used on the system, and from what I can see, it looks good. Playing with friends over crossplay is about to get 100 times better. Phil.
Yes, mate.
I don't know any wrestlers. I don't know any wrestlers. Oh, I'd like to hear just one wrestler I can think of, which is probably not good. But I would love to hear your impression of Chris Benoit.
Chris Benoit.
Chris Benoit.
It's a good thing we don't shy away from cutting it close to the bone on this show, isn't it?
This show, yeah.
No pun intended for Chris Benoit.
This was meant to be the easy round, right?
Yeah, apparently.
I don't know. I don't know wrestlers, man. All I know is bring back Benoit.
I'm just trying to think what Benoit used to do in his promos, and I honestly don't really remember.
He was all about, I'll throw you a bone. He was all about chucking in some of these. Chucked in quite a lot of these. Chucked in quite a lot of those.
Yeah.
And then he was all about of course, the iconic crippler crossface. I think with this, you can take this anywhere you want with this. It's wrestling, right? That's the theme, is wrestling. Take it wherever you want with the Chris Benoit.
Now, Spence, when I see you in that squared circle on Saturday night, I come down to Newport, I'm giving you the crippler crossface, and you're going to be 1, 2, 3, ding, ding, ding. You are out, because you're in the ring with Chris Benoit. I knew that was RVD, Rob Van Dam, but Chris Benoit. Quick news. No weaves or crafting required, guys. Horizon Raw Materials and ASOS are bringing out a range of unisex clothing. Now, I've checked out this fresh drip, and I can say it's not for me personally, but well worth checking out if you're a fan of the Horizon series of games. Okay, we're coming back round. Davey. As Spencer threw me a bone there with Chris Benoit. I'm going to step things up, and I'm thinking The Rock. He had a tag team partner at a certain stage in his career, and I want to hear your best D'Lo Brown impression.
D'Lo Brown. He became a reverend, didn't he? At one point, he became a reverend, didn't he? Reverend Dudley. And I remember he had like a proper Catholic thing on, like a little band. Am I thinking about the same guy?
I think you might be thinking of the Dudley Boys.
Oh, I don't know who the hell this guy is.
D'Lo Brown.
D'Lo Brown. I thought you said something D'Lo. I thought you said D'Lo Dudley.
I think you're looking at Devon Dudley.
Yes, that's what I was thinking.
D'Lo Brown. Okay, Devon Dudley. Go for Devon Dudley.
Devon Dudley. Okay, I'm gonna go when he was going through his God phase. We'd found God, right? So I could go something simple like, "Get the tables." But I'm gonna take it another step further, and I'm gonna do Julius 3:16. Oh no, that's going more towards that. Do a different Bible quote. Matthew 7:18 says, "I'm gonna whoop your ass. Get the tables." Quick news. A Capcom producer has claimed the company currently has no plans to remake what they've called a cult classic. I'd call it a mainline entry in the game that cannot be mentioned, which is Code Veronica. So for all you losers out there that haven't played the non-numbered entries, Code Veronica is the story of Claire Redfield following the events of number 2, where she goes on the search for her brother Chris and ends up getting in a whole shenanigan of an adventure that involves seeing Wesker come back from the dead for the first time with his superpowers. It's an incredible game, absolutely sensational. Now, guys, we put this in quick news because a producer claimed this. Do you, and I know this is kind of more of a rumor now, I'm taking this, but do you honestly think that with the success they found with the remakes of 1, 2, 3, and 4 coming up shortly for the game that can't be mentioned, do you honestly think they're going to walk past Code Veronica and leave it in the dust? Phil, what do you reckon? You're a fan of CV, same as me.
100% no, mate. They have got to revisit this title. It's a fan favourite after all. And considering how much of a high Capcom are on, this is the perfect time to hit that installment of the series that cannot be mentioned. And I'd be there. I'd be handing over my money right now. Get me that game.
What about yourself, Spence? I know you haven't played Code Veronica yet. Would you want to see it be remade?
I would 100% want to see it be remade. I mean, yeah, like you said, I haven't played the original yet. But then that's the same as 2 and 3. I haven't played the originals. I've only played the remakes. And I would love to go back, as everyone listening to this right now knows I just bought the original 3 on my Vita. And I'm going to go back to it. And that might spark me to go back to 2 as well. A remake of CV would probably make me want to go and play the original. I already own it on my PS5. I'm keen to play it, and that would give me the push to do so. But I believe that there's currently no plans to do it, because I think they're just a bit busy with other stuff. They're doing a lot. So whether or not they visit in the future, not up to me to decide, but I'd like it if they did.
I mean, we did see that doc, didn't we, of all the leaked Capcom stuff that was in there, and CV wasn't included in that. Now, we got a lot more stuff on that doc that hasn't actually come into the light yet. You know, we haven't seen Outbreak, which was included on there, which of course would be, oh my god, that would be the most hype announcement ever if that actually comes to reality. But CV for me is up on that same level. And if we got the opportunity to go back and see that game, which, to be fair to it, the gameplay holds up perfectly well. The characters do not. They're pretty tragically bad. So if we can see that be redone, get a new fresh bit of light on it, but keep it just still horror-y. Like, CV is what the game that can't be mentioned, it peaked with its design in CV. Like, it really did. Everything that was kind of learned from 1, 2, 3 was just coalesced into a game that brings every single part, the action, the drama, the kind of over-the-top campiness, and combines it all around amazing use of resource management for what is the longest, or one of the longest games that can't be mentioned. Out of all of them, it's like 50-odd hours, which is crazy long for a resource-driven game. Seeing that get a fresh coat of paint would be a dream come true for me. And I really hope to God that someone at Capcom's listening to this and they decide to go for it. Put the green light. We would all buy it day one. Now, Spencer, I'm back round to you to end this round, and then of course we're switching rotations up here. So seeing as you did Phil over so dirty there, I could go really hardcore and chuck you someone out of the blue here, but I think I'm going to give you kind of a household name still. I want to see your Mankind impression.
Hi kids, I'm Mr. Socko. Let's talk about our feelings today. I hope you're feeling good, because then I'll put you in hell. You're gonna die today. Remember the name Mr. Socko. Bitch. All right, we're going to go with that. That's Mr. Soccer. I hope you liked him. He's a good friend. Quick news. CDPR, or CD Projekt Red, developers of infamously, diabolically, cataclysmically bad game Cyberpunk, which has been on the up, have announced a remake for The Witcher built from the ground up with Unreal Engine 5. I think this is a smart move, especially because when people think of The Witcher, they really only think of The Witcher 3. No one thinks about The Witcher 1 and 2. So a remake for the original games? Brilliant idea. Get people actually into the series. Don't know what you boys think about this, if you want to go off on it or not.
Personally, I think this is mega hype. I mean, The Witcher is one of those things that I swear nobody gave a shit about until Witcher 3 got announced. And then all of a sudden, all I see is everyone going mental for it. And I hadn't even heard of The Witcher. And it was on its third entry. And bearing in mind, I'm not some casual scrubbo. I was reading every PlayStation magazine, absorbing every single demo disc into my very fiber of my being. And this whole fucking thing, this whole franchise totally slipped past me. Granted, I'm not Central or Eastern European, which is where this was from, and I didn't have a PC or an Xbox, which is where The Witcher kind of had a home for its first two entries. Seeing this come back and seeing it get a chance for people to dive into the start of the franchise, great. I'm all for that. It's the same reason why I love the fact that we're still in this kind of remake kind of meta at the moment where everything's getting remade. Gives a chance for people who have kind of gone away from something or felt that they can't jump on because it's so far in, a chance to start from the very beginning and get a new fresh lease of life on something. And seeing it done in UE5, CDPR, knock them as much as you want for performance woes, but they do put out a graphically stunning game. And seeing The Witcher in UE5, hell, I'm in. I'm interested anyway, at the very least. Depends on how long it is. I don't know if you have any thoughts on this one though, Phil.
I'm pretty much the same as you, mate. The series passed me by, but it's nice to hear some positive news for CD Projekt Red, because we never like to dunk on a company that much. I think we do, so hopefully it's terrible. But the series itself, I'm a little annoyed, really, because I hear so much positivity coming from their Netflix show, and I haven't been able to watch it because I never played the games, and I'd feel a bit of a fraud if I was going to watch the series without playing the source material beforehand. I don't know if any of you guys have caught that series, because I think it's very highly rated, isn't it?
Yeah, I've watched it, and I've played a little bit of Witcher 3, but I haven't played much. And the show is excellent. I actually really very much love the show. I think it's fantastic. And Henry Cavill playing Geralt, he adores The Witcher. They say that when he's on set, he's like an encyclopedia for the world of The Witcher. They use him to fact check stuff whilst they're filming. So everything's accurate to the games, even if you don't know, because you haven't played the source material. Even if you don't know, it is. And it's all great. It just flows really well. It's a fantastic show. I would very much recommend you watch it, mate.
And can I just say, Henry Cavill is the podcast crush. I think I speak for all of us here. I don't know how you feel about this, Phil, but I know Spencer shares these thoughts. I'm not gay in any way, shape, or form, but I would do whatever for a night with Henry Cavill. I would let him do whatever. He could ruin me. He could treat me like a prison bitch. And I would be so grateful to spend an hour in his presence. I was going to tweet him the other day and just say, can I get you on the podcast? Because I reckon if he could join us, I reckon he would get plastered with us. I reckon we'd have a class night. He'd just be one of those people that you'd meet and just get on with. They would just be really nice. And the entire time I'd be thinking, I'd let you destroy me. Do whatever you want to me, Superman. You are my Superman, and I love you. And I've never felt that way about anyone, but Henry Cavill just gives me these feels that... what a man.
Bro, I mean, come on, it's Henry Cavill, man. He's just beautiful. He's a god among men. He's the god among men. When you look at any man, if you think of who is the perfect man, it's him, and he's a nerd, man. He's one of us, except superior in every way. I don't know how good he is at video games. I'd probably beat him in COD, but he'd look better doing it. He'd be grateful in his well, not great. He'd be graceful in his loss. I bet I'd be like, that was a good game, and I'd be like, why aren't you mad? I'd be livid. I destroyed you. Why aren't you mad? And he'd just be like, I'm Henry Cavill. What have I got to be mad about? I shag. I bet is what he'd say. What a legend.
Oh dear. Well, putting aside our our love for Henry Cavill, I've seen the first season of The Witcher, Phil. I'd totally recommend it as well. Well worth a watch, especially even if you haven't played the source material. It's just a great show, great little fantasy show, really good.
Okay, so moving on, Phil. I felt kind of bad because I have a gap in my knowledge when it comes to wrestlers. So during this quick news, I did a Google and someone popped to mind that I don't know how I didn't think of them immediately when I was passing it to you. It should have been immediate. So for this impression, mate, I'd love to hear your best Ric Flair.
My best Ric Flair. It's hard. It's a hard one, Ric Flair. He's got a lot to say, but his famous is just when he goes, woo, 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 and he just goes crazy with those eyes. The nature boy, Ric Flair. Woo! Quick news. EA are shutting down online services for Mirror's Edge, Onrush, and some Army of Two and Command & Conquer games over the upcoming months. Now, if you're still playing any of those dead games, this is the final nail in that coffin. I'm sorry, guys. You're going to have to move on. And moving on, back to yourself, Spencer. You gave me my favourite wrestler of all time, Mr. Ric Flair. Woo! Now I'm going to come back to you. And I know your knowledge of wrestlers is on the minute side. So I'm going to give you a very minute wrestler. And his name is Rey Mysterio.
It's not feasible for me to do a 619 in my room, is it? It's probably not.
Have you got ropes? Have you got ropes to be able to do a 619? I don't know
I
how
was
the
just
hell
going to
you...
spin my chair with my legs horizontal.
I mean, that's what Rey Mysterio does. He's all about the flippy shit.
I reckon you do a backflip. Can you do a backflip?
No.
Oh, I would have given you bonus points if you did a backflip.
I think physically, I'm probably capable, but the
Try
mental block exists.
Right.
You know, you always try and you pussy out.
Yeah, and you get halfway over and just backflop onto the ground. It's like if your body let you go through with it, you'd just do it, wouldn't you? But as soon as you pussy out halfway, just gravity takes over, and gravity is a 10-0 matchup. You ain't beating gravity.
Do it on your bed.
Yeah, backflip on your bed.
I gotta be quiet, remember, boys.
That'd be fine. Just land lightly.
Just you just got to shout 619 as you do a backflip. It's not even remotely related, but do it.
I go from my wall. I literally physically can't.
We'll give you a buy if you could do the backflip.
I can't do the backflip. I can't.
You've got wireless headphones as well. You could even hear us chant your name.
That's not the issue.
Rey Mysterio. Do a backflip.
I can't do a backflip. I can do a backwards roll, probably.
Go on then.
Go on
the
then.
best you're gonna get. I'll do a backwards roll.
All right.
Don't know if I can keep the headset
In the
on or
style
not.
of Rey Mysterio, though.
Yes, please. Yeah.
You've got to channel your inner Rey.
Okay, well, headset's got to come off. So I can't hear you, boys. But
This is the
what I
first
do
bit
know,
of athleticism
Rey
we've
Mysterio
had.
wears a mask.
There it is.
Okay,
There it is.
all
There's
right,
the
all
part.
To say mask, but it's gonna
Okay.
have to do. Gonna have to do a Sub-Zero mask. Got me Crocs on.
Backflip,
Imagine
backflip,
Imagine he
backflip.
does a backflip. It's so hype. I'd pop off. I'd wake my son
Is he
right
just
up.
going to do a backwards roll?
I think he's...
You've messed it up.
he misjudged the space.
Oh my god.
He misjudged
Last
the
time he
space.
did that, he was probably like half his age. So you're a little bit shorter.
Last time I did that, I was like 9.
Oh, Jesus Christ. That's a YouTube clip. That's a YouTube clip right there.
619. Booyaka, booyaka.
Oh.
That actually really hurt my neck. That was very bad. Quick news. Okay, well, a big impression for a big piece of news. We finally have information on the Dualsense Edge, and that information comes in the form of a date and a price. And not only is it a price of a controller, but there's also a price to pay for one of us. Let's find out who. So the first bit of news is the date. I think we'll just skim past that. It's the 26th of January 2023. Hope you're all excited. You won't be when I carry on this conversation. Before I actually divulge the price, I'd like to know your boys' guesses in a prior episode, because we've talked about this in the past, and we put a shot on it. This is the price I'm referencing. We estimated how much it was going to cost. Davey, how much did you say this controller would cost?
Now, the one change we've made since episode 50, listeners, is that we've started keeping a little sheet, which is current bets and shots, so we can make sure that nobody skimps out, because in the prior 10 episodes, we had loads of people who we didn't know how many shots they had, how many times they'd lost quick news, etc. and so on. We've got it all listed now, and I can unfortunately see the price that I laid up on this clear as day from episode 50. I said 70 to 90.
It's crazy that you said yen as well. Okay, Phil, how much did you say this would cost?
If my memory serves right, I think I said €239.99 and £209.99 in English. Was that what I said? I think I did.
I don't know, Davey, you have the doc, so you have the information. Is that what he guessed?
He said 100 to 120.
Ah, there it is.
That's me getting old. Sorry, guys.
That's all right, mate. That's all right. And Davey, what was my guess again?
120 plus.
Just plus.
No 120
limit?
plus,
Just
no limit. The highest, yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I will now reveal the price of the handset. As Phil referenced, well, he didn't reference, he said the exact price. It's $209.99 in Great British pounds. Jesus Christ. That means, well, it means that I'm not buying one, but it also means I win. Let's go, boys. So what's my reward for winning this?
You can either give a shot to somebody, or you can get the lowest to have a shot. We never specified what it was. We just put one shot on it. So we never said if we were going to congratulate winners or punish losers. I imagine we always normally punch down, so it would be the loser. But if you want as the winner, you can then nominate if you want. It doesn't matter. It's probably going to be
we're
anyway.
both losers in this game here, Davey.
We are.
We're both losers.
All right, Spence, you could do with it what you want. Should I just say that you've got one to give out at any point?
No.
Okay.
I say we stick to the theme of the show, and I think the loser does the shot.
Okay. Adding it to
That
the
is
doc.
the common trend. Before we move on, we discussed in the past, with our estimated prices, whether or not we would be buying this controller. Now that we know the price, boys, are you going to be buying this handset? Phil, I'll come to you first.
Well, I said no at £100, so I'm going to say no at £200. I have no use for this controller. I don't play the type of games that this would benefit in any way. It's not going to help me. I really have no interest in it, so it's still a no from me. It hasn't convinced me that you've doubled the price.
Fair enough. I thought that premium would come in and get you convinced, but never mind. Davey, what about you?
You know, every single episode since we've seen this thing shown off, I've been saying that I can't wait for it. I'm really excited by it. I can't wait to get better at jump shotting and to really see my COD game go up another level, to find out that there's another level to Krakatoa I didn't know existed. The summit, you know, the absolute tip top of Olympia itself would be open to me. But for £200, £209.99, are you having a fucking laugh? Who is going to pay that? You've got to be either made of money or fucking have brains for shit. Because there is no way that it is worth that amount of money. Like, you think you could buy a fucking Xbox, what? You could buy a new Xbox for like 40 quid more. Actually insane. You could buy a brand new PS5 digital only for not much more than a fucking handset. And sure, it's got a carry case, and you can unplug your analog sticks. back pedals ain't worth that. Unless this thing is made out of fucking carbon fiber, I don't know where they're pulling this fucking price from. Because I'd expect it to come out and nosh me off for that kind of money. It's absolutely insane. It's ludicrous. And what's even worse about it, Spence, is that the pound is more expensive than the fucking dollar. It makes no fucking sense. You think an average American earns, what, $60,000 per year? Over here, average is what, 30k? I think it's 31k, I think, is an average man's salary. It's like, why is the dollar more than the pound? I've never seen that before, ever. Like, literally ever. Like, there was like a £10 or $10 difference, I think, in the PS5 base. And here we are now, and we're paying more than the Americans. What the fuck is going on? It's ridiculous. So it's a straight up fat no from me. And I'll just have to make do with my God of War handset that's coming on November 9th. And that'll have to tide me over. Don't know how you feel about it, though.
Oh, I might buy it.
No way, really?
Maybe. I'm thinking about it.
Money.
I got that disposable, and I just spilled Pepsi on my original white DualSense. And now my options button is a little bit sticky. All the other buttons fine, and the options button, you're not pressing much, and it doesn't need to be a satisfying button. It still works. But I just don't like that it does feel sticky. It kind of irks me. And it does have stick drift, as we found out when we played Kiwi. And what could eliminate stick drift? Removable sticks. Is it worth £210? Absolutely not. Do I have £210? I suppose I do. So we'll see closer to the release.
Such a flex, isn't it? When he gets a new job, gets all this extra money, doesn't have to pay for a house. Boom.
Yeah, I got no savings though. It's just all spent on like overpriced handsets.
What if they bring it out in like loads of different colours? You're gonna have to buy them all, Spence.
I'd buy the one color I want, and that'd be it. If it's got removable sticks, as long as the triggers don't break, which they shouldn't, unless you're like a 4-year-old smashing them, I think it'd be fine. And then that's your pad for life, really, because the stick drift should be the only issue, unless you're terrible at keeping your pads.
I mean, the thing about it is that if I can feel it, then that may be the thing that like pushes me on to getting one. You know, if say for example you did buy one, you were like, here, hold it, and I could feel that difference in the cost, and I could feel like where that money's gone, then maybe. But right now, looking at it, sure, it looks pretty, it looks really nice actually as a piece of kit, but I'm not seeing that difference there that really sings to me in terms of, oh, this is a different type of plastic, or it's metal, or whatever it is, right, that really makes it feel a premium product from the normal DualSense. So if you do get it, I would love to actually just hold it. And that may be the thing that I say.
I'd love to come round and touch your handsets. That's what he's saying.
I'd love to touch it. Yeah, I really would. I'll hold it, caress it.
I'll tell you what, mate. Bro, you could fuck off. $209.99. You think you're touching it? Absolutely not. No one's touching it but me. It's in the carry case unless I play Call of Duty. And that's how it goes.
Gone are the days you can go into Toys R Us and touch those type of things, Davey. It's not allowed anymore.
It's just not fair. That's the kind of thing you definitely need to hold, I think. And then if you hold it, then you'll I try not to make it sexual. Then you'll be pulled round to it, you know. You'll get into it. But who knows? If you do get it, I'm gonna touch it, whether you like it or not.
Fair enough. We'll see when the time comes, but as it stands, that price is ludicrous. So let's move on. Davey, my impression for you. Like I said, I've looked up a few wrestlers now, so I've got some in the mind, some on the dome. I'd love to hear your best impression of the Big Show.
Nice.
The Big Show. All right. So I don't have a unitard. He's got like one of those unitard things, doesn't he, going on? Right.
You don't?
No, not tan.
Oh, not the hands in the wash.
Not tan. I have to grab it out to fish it. So I'm gonna do an impression of this is like Big Show's taunt, like when he first gets into the ring. Big Show's thing, he's just a tall guy. That's his thing. He wasn't really ever in great shape. I think he got towards great shape at the end of his career, but he never really was when I used to watch it. He's just kind of a big fat guy, really. But he was massive. And so he'd like do that thing that all big wrestlers do where they step over the ropes instead of going through them, which makes way more sense. He'd just step over them, right? But so I'm going to do the step in. You'll see now. So we do this. You got the ropes. Yeah. There you go. You like push them down a little bit so it shows strength. And go. And then do this. I'll bend down so you can see because I'm massive like the Big Show. And you go. And everyone go. Because his whole move was a choke slam. So he'd just do this. And he'd suspend him for a moment. Big Show. And he spoke like a really gruff voice. Like this on this fucking Big Show, lads. It's the Big Show. Quick news.
Was he also Cockney?
No. No.
It's
but
the
when
Big Show, lad.
It's the Big Show, bruv. It's the Big Show, bruv. Put you in the fucking ground, I will. Quick news. The Callisto Protocol's release is cancelled in Japan. So if you're listening to the show in Japan, which I don't think we have many Japanese listeners, unfortunately, you cannot buy the game in your region. So you will have to go on to Amazon.us or Amazon.com or Amazon. Anywhere else in the world and just ship it over to you. And the reason for that is because the local rating agency, Zero, did not like the level of violence in the game, and the developer, Striking Distance, refuses to comply with their demands. Personally, I think this is incredible for Callisto Protocol to literally stand their ground and to not change their game. They know what makes it their game. They've got their vision for it. And I think sticking to your vision, regardless of if that works out, being beneficial or not in the long term, we don't know until we played it. Sticking to your vision is something that we're always talking about on this podcast, and staying true to what you're trying to achieve. And personally, I'm more than happy with this news, because last thing you want is like what Left 4 Dead have done in the past for their Japanese releases, or anyone else where like bodies are just disappearing, there's no blood, it's green blood, it's all a load of bollocks. And at the end of the day, if Japan don't want to make the taxable income on that from it being sold in their territory, fuck them. Fair dues, Striking Distance. Really appreciate you doing this. I think that's a strong stance to take.
I think it's amazing marketing, really, right? They must be rubbing their hands together, Striking Distance. They must think, brilliant, we're not allowed to sell our game in Japan, but in result of that, it's only going to make it sell more in other countries, because people are like, oh my god, this game must be the shit if it's getting banned in countries. Like, negative press is not always negative press, is it, guys?
That's very true. That is very true. You think about some of the like classic horror films that have really stood the test of time. You think about like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, banned. Exorcist, banned. These are ones that like just live on in perpetuity. So not saying that Callisto is going to rise to that kind of level, but you're right in terms of how you can have negative press that still kind of turns out to be a net positive for the overall experience. Don't know about yourself, Spence, on this. Any thoughts?
I mean, yeah, I think it's great news. Same as you. It just means this game's so freaking violent. They don't want it. Which, to be fair, I think in Japan it's not a very high bar. I think someone smacking someone else backhand is about all they'll take. So it doesn't actually mean a lot, but for the uninformed about what gets games banned, it just kind of makes Callisto seem like a sick game. And I was hyped for it already. Doesn't really make me more hyped, but it's a day one regardless. So for me, it's sick, and I'm sure this will, like Phil said, just bump the sales.
Let's move it on. Philip Hoy, I'm coming around to yourself. And I love my wrestlers. And I've given you, I think I've been quite kind throughout all this with different people. So I'm going to give you a super, super nice one, I think, on this next round. I want to see Triple H.
Is that really that nice? If I wasn't in my room surrounded by thousands of pounds worth of technology and, statues and games, I would give you the full Triple H, right? But what am I going to do, right? It's time to play the game. I'm going to flare my nose a little bit. I'm going to walk like this as he walks down to the ring and goes, right? But I'd be spitting it out if I was anywhere else other than my room. If I was over yours, I would have done it. If I was in front of your PC, hands down, I would have done that.
I will throw you a bone if you want. If you take your phone outside, I'm more than willing for you to. He's like, don't do that to me. Don't do that to me. I'm more than happy for you to go outside and to just record yourself doing it fully, and just upload that into the share drive, and we can put that on there, and we can view it obviously, and judge it for the end of the show. You're more than happy for you to do that, but if you want to flare your nose a little bit, you can do that as well. It's up to you. It's up to you.
Well, I'm blessed in the same way Triple H is, with a large nose, so I've already got that down, right? I just don't have the muscles or the long hair, right? So I'd have to be a bit like this when I walk down to the ring. But sure, I'll record myself doing the spit of water, if you like, so we can cut it into the show. But I ain't doing it tonight. It's dark now. You're never going to get the light in. I've got to have the green flashing lights. Time to play the game.
Okay. I'll tell you what. What I'll do is when it comes to us voting towards the end of the episode, because it's got to be settled on the episode. That's the way it works on Quick News. I won't count it, but I'll give you some bonus points if you pull it off and it's immense for the next time. So even if you do the worst one ever, if this is great, you may save yourself from taking the worst next time for my personal vote. I don't know, Spencer, if you're okay for that, to have this extra content that we can experience tomorrow when we wake up.
I'm completely fine with that. 100% on board.
So it means that episode 55, you might have an easy time.
Quick news. So guys, Capcom says 91.5% of their sales is now digital. So that leaves 8.5% physical to my math. Now that statistic is a madness to me. For someone who is 99% physical. All this online is just not for me. You just really want to get your hands on the physical title. But wow, it's all turned into digital these days. The future. Now, if you're planning to get an upcoming Capcom title, maybe you're looking into Street Fighter 6 game. Are you going to be buying it physical, or are you going to buy it digital? We're going to be putting a vote up on Twitter when this episode goes live, so make sure your voice is heard, and I'd love to hear from you. Okay, so moving on. Spencer, last impression of the night. You've made it through with your very limited wrestling knowledge, and you're doing tremendously. So I'm going to give you another very, very simplistic impression. And it's someone that transcends wrestling. It's someone that has done movies. I'm talking about the rattlesnake himself, Stone Cold Steve Austin. Let's see your impression.
I know the name and the face. That's it.
That's insane to me. You don't know who Stone Cold Steve Austin is,
man. I know who he is. I know his name and his face, and I think I've seen him in a movie. That's it.
Oh dear.
So you had 619 for Rey Mysterio. Stone Cold has a number.
Does he?
Yep. It's a Bible reference if you want to know that.
666?
No, that's the number of the beast. It's Bible, mate.
316 is Austin's number. He's searching him up now. He's searching him up. He's breaking the rules of Quick News. Oh my god.
Who is Stone Cold Steve Austin?
This is crazy. This is crazy.
Do you not see my face the second you said wrestlers? I was like, oh.
Spencer's search history must be amazing. It's like, who is Duke Nukem? Who is Stone Cold Steve Austin?
Bring it on, Spence. You've had plenty of time. Just show us what you can do for Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Steve. My stones are cold and my name's Steve Austin. I don't know who he is or what he does, but he's a rattlesnake with cold stones.
If you could do a backflip, we'll let you off.
I could do a back roll again, but I didn't go well last time.
Do a
with my
frontward
necklace.
roll. Stone Cold Steve Austin, he's famous for his frontward roll.
Is he?
Yeah.
You're just trying to farm
Massively,
YouTube clips.
100% famous for that.
Oh, I'll do one. I'll do it. If it stops me losing.
There are
quick moves, I'll
wrestlers
do
that
one.
do frontward rolls. RVD was very famous for it.
He loved
I'll do
it
it.
from
If it stops me losing, I'll do one. Let's do
He
it.
did.
Yeah, do
Let's
it.
do it. Forwards roll this time. He doesn't
Forward
wear a
roll
mask, does he? I don't need
for
my
Stone
mask.
Cold Steve Austin. No, he just wears black pants. So take your top off, pop your shorts down, frontwards roll.
And you gotta be wearing pants,
I am-
yeah.
I am wearing black pants. So could you post it?
Yeah, I can post it, yeah.
Come on.
Get sacked from my new job before I start. Clip
you'll
of
be
me
fine.
in my underwear
You'll
doing
be
a
fine.
frontwards roll.
Make sure you're tucked in, bro.
I'll do it. I'll do it. I'll do it. Sorry, I'll do it.
That'd be so funny if it's just balls hanging out the one side. Why is he wearing pants? Who wears pants in 2022?
lose. I don't care.
This is the time when his mum walks in.
Yeah.
Just finds him
I
half
knew it.
naked in front of the
I
camera.
knew it. I knew this is what you were doing, Spencer. You said it was a podcast all the time.
He's on chat roulette.
Yeah. He's not wearing pants, he's wearing boxers. Yeah, he's got his sponsorship, sponsored by Manscaped, of course. Here he is.
This isn't going well.
Here we go. Well, the last one didn't. Oh, that was great. Oh, that was great.
Much
He nailed
better.
it. He nailed
Much
it.
better.
Absolutely nailed it.
Frontwards roll is your thing rather than a backwards roll.
That was great.
Never go back.
Yeah.
Steve.
Because that's the bottom line. Because
Steve said so.
Steve said so.
I was going to say, no matter what you say, I was going to say, what? Like, throughout
What?
most of it.
Yeah.
But then he didn't say anything. I was like, oh, never mind. That's gone.
Quick news. So, guys, Rocksteady co-founders and studio heads Sefton Hill and Jamie Walker have decided to leave the studio. They did this in a big kind of blog post, and I'll read. It's a massive blog post, so I'll read the first paragraph verbatim, and we'll just take it from there. Maybe talk about this. So, it reads, I have some important news to share with you about Rocksteady Studios. Co-founders and studio heads Sefton Hill and Jamie Walker have made the decision to leave the studio. We are very proud to have worked alongside Jamie and Sefton, who have led their talented team to create some of the best games in the world, from the critically acclaimed hit Batman Arkham franchise to their evolutionary thinking with Suicide Squad. They have been great leaders to the team. Visiting Rocksteady Studios has always been a highlight for me personally. The attention to detail, the energy of the people, and a sense of what it is like to be in a high-performing studio. They have committed to the highest quality and excellence across all facets of game development, while ensuring an outstanding culture of caring for their employees. With Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League nearly finished, they have both decided to leave Rocksteady at the end of 2022 and will begin a new adventure in gaming. We have the utmost respect and gratitude for Jamie and Sefton and wish them all the best in their new endeavour, and like many fans, we look forward to what they do next. So, boys, you guys big Rocksteady fans? I know Davey, you're quite a big Rocksteady fan. What do you think this means for the studio? Do you think this is detrimental or beneficial, or what are your thoughts?
Completely detrimental. The proof's going to be kind of in the pudding with this, because it's much like with Rockstar, where a lot of their like leads and studio heads left after Red Dead 2, and we're kind of waiting to see what the kind of impact that's going to leave on the studio going forward and what it means. The thing with Rocksteady is that they've had, I don't know what the untold story is here, but there's definitely an untold story, because there has been a massive delay in their work. You think about the fact they pumped out 3 Batman games in pretty quick succession over the case of one entire generation, with one coming at the start of PS4 for the last Batman game, to then this, where there's the entire PS4 generation completely missed. Justice League delayed out of this year, coming out, not Justice League, Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, delayed until next year now. There's something has happened here at the studio that I would love to be a fly on the wall and find out what it is. There's something. Now, there's been loads of rumors that have been going around over the years that Warner Bros. Are dissolving their gaming division, and that Rocksteady were going to be going, same with NetherRealm, We spoke about that rumor on the podcast before, many, many months ago. Could it be that they're getting sick and tired of Warner Bros. Leadership and that they decided that actually we're more valuable than what they're paying us and we could go off and just do this anywhere else? Because let's be real here, the guys that are like studio heads and co-founders of Rocksteady, that's a big swinging dick to have. And anyone, you're talking Xbox, PlayStation, they'll be trying to snap them up into whatever comes next. Let alone the likes of EA. The likes of, well, Ubisoft would be a bit of a downgrade to take. But, I mean, you could take even Ubisoft money. People are going to be throwing hand over fist barrels of fucking big smackaroos at these guys to try and get them on the next big project. So I'm not so much worried about Rocksteady as I am more interested in what they're going to do next. And that's the bigger thing for me.
That's fair enough. Good points, mate. Good points. Phil, do you have any thoughts on this?
My 2 cents is that Chaos, it's a ladder, right? Some new blood coming through, or as Davey was saying, new owners sort of taking over there at Rocksteady. I'm just hopeful that we're going to be seeing some new things from the studio, because in my opinion, it's relatively stale over there. They release the same sort of games and then nothing else, really. So hopefully we'll see some new stuff from some new owners or new heads there. So looking forward to the future.
Yeah, it's basically the exact same line of thinking I kind of have with this news, where I just hope it just inflicts change, because they've been kind of dormant as of late, and it'd just be nice to see them kind of get kickstarted into something new. And if this is the kind of thing they need to do that, all for them. And I mean, Sefton Hill and Jamie Walker, they can do what they want. Davey's right. People are going to be so keen to grab them. Their lives are set, basically. They can do whatever they want. And if they get put onto something big, that's just good news for us. So, win-win, win-lose, lose-lose is kind of all of the above. But I don't think this is necessarily bad news. So moving on. Davey, coming around to you. And now, famous wrestlers. We have had...
Fucking searching it up.
So I'll go with my gut. I want you to take this far and beyond the usual impression. I'd love to see your Undertaker.
I don't have a do-rag. So you're going to have to remember that. Oh, reach in, roll down, hands up, hands down, back up, back. Tell me what you want to do now. That's all I got.
Keep rolling.
What? Quick news. Now, I've got to be really careful here, listeners, because what I'm going to talk about involves the game that cannot be mentioned. So, for the sake of all of our sanities, I'm going to disable the button for this, because otherwise we will not be able to have an actual discussion. So, there is no button on for this. I think we've done pretty well covering Code Veronica, covering what we have. But this is, of course, the Resident Evil Showcase. Now, this was shown to us on the 20th of October, 2022. And for those of you that are Spotify only, you may not have noticed that myself and Mr. Philip Hoy, we did a reacts to this. And we did our reaction straight after it as well. That is up on our YouTube. Well worth a watch, if I must say so myself. We kind of break down what we enjoyed from it, what we didn't like. So we're going to kind of gloss over that a little bit. We'll show you what was actually announced. We'll talk about our impressions of it. But really, the main crux of this, I suppose, is we want to hear Spencer, because he was not part of this discussion. So, what was shown? The first thing we had Resident Evil 4 Remake gameplay. That was kind of the big draw from this. We saw about a 5-6 minute segment of RE4, mainly involving the village that you start off RE4 in. And seeing loads of different gameplay bits and bobs, and we're going to talk about those in just a minute, I'm sure. We then go on to looking at a trailer for Shadow of Rose DLC, which I tried to close my eyes and not watch any of it because I did not want to see a goddamn thing. And then, of course, the RE-verse is out now from the date of us recording on the 28th. It is live. The long-anticipated, long-delayed game REverse. Finally out, and it launched with a open few days as an early access, which was on the Monday and Tuesday. I took part in that. Great little time. Looking forward to playing a little bit more. And it finally ended then with release dates for various Resident Evil games on the cloud for the poor little Switch owners. So for those people that have only got a Switch, you got something there for you. You can play some half-assed attempt to play a real man's game. So well done for you guys. Now, Phil, when we did our reaction to this, we gave a rating. Do you remember what your rating was for the conference?
Well, Davey, I've got a rating for our video, and that's a full 5 out of 5. That's a clear sub. But for the presentation, I rated it a 7 out of 10. I think my comments were, I knew what was coming up, but it was just all quality for me. It was all stuff I wanted and I knew was coming. There was no standouts. There was no surprises there really, outside a little bit of the footage for RE4. But there was no wowzer moments that would, bump it up to the 8s, the 9s, and the 10s for me.
Yeah, and I went on just a little bit higher than that. You went for a high 7, I went for a low 8. Where I said that, sure, it didn't do anything. It didn't bring back, any of the crazy predictions like Code Veronica or anything like that. But the RE4 gameplay itself was enough to warrant this for me. Like, my hype level went up several degrees from that RE4 to the point where I tried to go on and order a pre-order for the collector's edition, and it was immediately sold out, literally minutes after the showcase. So, fat chance of me getting that one. Now, Spencer, what are your thoughts on the Resident Evil Showcase? What stood out for you? Take as long as you want, mate. We'll go into it and we'll discuss it as we go.
I think the most suitable way for me to do this would probably actually just give you my rating immediately. Because I didn't watch the official stream. I watched the In PS We Trust restream. So it felt like I was watching it with you boys, even though I was in work during the stream, so I couldn't join you, unfortunately. But it was nice to see your guys' opinions and your views during the video. I understand why people listen to us now. It was quite nice. It was fun. Listeners, I'm one of you sometimes. Usually not. I'm playing games. But I disagreed with you boys. I thought this showcase was a high 5, low 6.
Wow.
What?
Yeah. And the main reason, to be fair, is mega biased, like every opinion is. They didn't show anything new. Nothing at all. And everything they did show was something I didn't want to see, because I much prefer to go blind. So it was a good showcase. It was good. Not for me. So I'm giving it the high 5, low 6. The only thing that was relevant to me, really, that I wanted to see, I guess, was REverse, which is a game I should have had over a year ago. So, I mean, none of it really stood out for me because I didn't want to see it. RE4 gameplay, I was like, I don't want to see this. I want it to surprise me when I start playing. Why don't show me this? I'm too hyped for that game already.
So let me just jump in here. So you're marking it down because it showed you something that you willingly went to look for.
I would have wanted to see something new, is what I'm saying. I'm marking it down for being games that I already know about, that I'm already hyped about, that I've already heard about multiple times, or games that I should already be playing. So it gets marked down.
Also, you're on a podcast where you talk about games and future releases. It's kind of your duty these days, I think, to, absorb this information and give your views. You can't just turn a blind eye to this anymore, Spence. We've got a couple of subs. We've hit the 100 mark now. So we've got people tuning in, wanting to hear what you think. And if they've watched it and you haven't,
well, then they don't need to know what I think. They'll find out what I think when I get the game, because that's when I'll have the best opinion, because I'll have experienced it myself. I would much rather have not seen the gameplay. It looked fantastic. It looked awesome. It looked unbelievable. Didn't want to see it. I'd much rather be seeing it on my TV with a pad with my new Dualsense Edge in my hands.
Well, we've heard it all on this podcast. We have different rules for quick news every single week, but now we got different rules for how to rate a conference. So basically, Spencer's rule is, I don't want to see anything that's already been announced once. So as soon as it's announced, I don't want to see it again, ever. So remember this energy, guys, when we get to Last of Us 3, okay? And then we get that announcement, And then Spence will mark down every single Sony conference that Last of Us is at because he doesn't want to see a goddamn thing. So I'll remember this. This will be something that sticks with me that I'll keep poking the bear with.
We're probably going to get some more info on God of War at some stage as well, so I'm expecting Spencer's mark to go down each time now that we see anything more of these big titles, right? Every time something's mentioned, that second time, you've got to minus a mark, minus a mark, minus a mark.
Callisto's going to be on fucking minus marks. That game's been shown like 1,000,000 times. There's so much footage online of that game now, and I am totally avoiding it. I'm totally blackout on it. But I wouldn't be like, click on the YouTube video for it. Be like, fucking, why are they showing me more Callisto?
Let's hope it doesn't get delayed.
Yeah.
Because we'll see more previews then, and the rating will go lower and lower and lower.
Be diabolical. Yeah, be diabolical. Worst game of the year. The game that I'm most excited by. Right, well, let's move it on, unless there's anything you want to talk about with RE4 gameplay that wasn't discussed in the YouTube video. Spencer, anything you want to talk about in particular?
The RE4 gameplay looked unbelievable, and it looked what I wanted it to look. Like, the fact that you can actually still melee, the fact you have survival items, it looks like a creepier vibe than the original game, which is basically exactly what I wanted. Like I said, as much as I didn't want to see any of it, it kind of comes with the show. We have to watch it. And it looked awesome. It did look fantastic. Everything about it spoke to me. But I already knew it would. So, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It was great. It was a great showcase. Just minus marks. Show me something new. Show me Outbreak. Show me Outbreak. There was word of Outbreak being shown. Where was it? Come on.
Oh, if Outbreak was shown, oh my god, my pop off. You wouldn't
It'd
be
be a
here.
10.
You wouldn't be here. You'd have been destroyed off the road while you were driving, because that would be such an absolutely catastrophic explosion that would happen in the epicenter of Cwmbran and just spread through all of South Wales. You'd be completely obliterated. Your dad in Robert Price's, he'd be fine. But for you in your place, totally gone. Off the map. Totally off the map. Now, Phil, we're coming across to yourself to end quick news. It's the last piece.
Last one.
So I gave you a pretty good impression that I'm still waiting for the video on. Well, I'll look forward to viewing that tomorrow morning. I'll give you one a little bit simpler today. I would like your best Eddie Guerrero.
My best Eddie. Why am I getting all the dead wrestlers?
I don't know. I don't know. I just thought someone who's got a lot of energy.
Chris Benoit
Used to have a lot of energy.
Eddie Guerrero. I can't do, his little flip or anything like that. I'm in a very, I ain't doing roly-polies in my pants. Yeah.
Anything you like for Eddie Guerrero? He used to ride in on a low rider, if I remember right. To we lie, we cheat, we steal. You could give us something from that. He used to do this crazy little move.
I honestly don't remember it. I remember his leg flip where he did the old. Can I move out? Can we see the camera? What do you go? Whoa.
Oh, feet's out for all you feet lovers.
And then he used to go.
Look at them grippers.
Those grippers.
Those grippers.
There's a bit of feet action there for you, Spence. Calm down.
Thank you,
Keep
mate.
pants
Thank
on.
you. Thank you. The audio off.
Eddie Guerrero. Quick news. So, guys, in addition to the Game That Cannot Be Mentioned showcase, we also had a Silent Hill showcase. And that was on the 19th of October. And they announced a bunch of stuff. Don't know if they're games, don't know if they're movies, don't know really what they are. But I'll hand over to you in a second once I've listed off the titles, just to hear some feedback on how you thought about the showcase. So we had Silent Hill 2, the remake. We had Silent Hill Townfall. We had the Return to Silent Hill. We had Silent Hill Ascension. And Silent Hill F. Now, Davey, I want to come to you first. Did anything stand out for you from this showcase? Spence, we'll come over to you after so we can get your 2 cents on the announcements that we've had. Davey, what did you think?
Do you know what? I was really, really impressed by this event. Now, this event seems to be like a Marmite thing, where I thought, after watching this, I thought, wow, this was great. I loved every moment of it, sapped it all up, and I'm not the biggest Silent Hill fan. You'd think I would be, especially being a massive Game That Can't Be Mentioned fan. But I'm not. I kind of viewed it at the time, like the difference between Digimon and Pokemon, and there were some kids who liked both, but generally there was 2 camps. There was the Digimon fans, the Pokemon fans, right? Well, I was kind of that tribalistic at that point that I was like, no, I love the game that can't be mentioned. I'm not going to play too much Silent Hill. But I did eventually cave, and I played the first 2 games eventually, and really enjoyed them. Loved them, actually, in fact. But never really played too much more of the series. Kind of dropped off, and I've always meant to go back and view it. Well, they always say that absence makes the heart go fonder. And as time's gone on, we haven't had Silent Hill in our lives for forever. I've been keen to see it return. Super, super keen. Now, I'm going to just talk about the game that made me pop off. And there's a lot of announcements here, but the one that made me really go to the moon is probably not the one you're expecting. It was Silent Hill Townfall. And the reason for that is because I saw that Annapurna were publishing. Now, just for context here, Annapurna are the guys that publish Stray. But they do not miss. If you look at their back catalogue, they do not fucking miss. Anything they publish turns into gold. And as soon as I saw them, it's like a seal of quality. You know, like when you see like the Naughty Dog logo, or you see the Guerrilla logo, or any studio, Insomniac, whatever, any of these top tier kind of talents, soon as Annapurna are involved, I know it's going to have something special about it for them to want to put their stamp on it. And we saw nothing really about it. We just know that they're involved, developed by No Code, and we'll see more next year. Just knowing that they're involved was enough for it to pique my interest to record heights. I cannot wait to see more about Townfall.
Annapurna, I mean, I love Stray. Stray's great. They did a great job publishing that. Fine, whatever. To me, their name doesn't mean as much as I suppose it does to you. And that trailer literally showed us nothing. Not a single thing. So as much as I respect Annapurna, and they probably have made a wise decision publishing this game, it doesn't exactly make me hype for it. I need to actually see something and then never see anything ever again. That's what I need. And that would make me quite happy.
For me, Silent Hill is back in a huge way. And we got 5 different titles there, guys. Let's go back a month. Did we have any? Did we even know any of these were going on? Maybe we heard like slight rumors of Silent Hill 2 remake. But now we've got 5 different titles to look forward to. Okay, we know very little about the vast majority of those because, as Spencer mentioned, and I think we discussed it on the Game That Cannot Be Mentioned showcase video, which you definitely should go back and listen to. 5 stars, subscribe. That we didn't see a lot. We didn't see a lot within this showcase, but we saw some names. We saw a little trickle of information, and it's definitely got me excited for the future of Silent Hill. And there's a hell of a lot of merch out there for them. Have you seen the amount of merch that they're banging out? Now, Spence, you want to stock the Silent Hill merch over on Amazon because you're going to make bank. There is so much merch for this series coming out. My God.
It's wild though, isn't it? It's like one of those things that I know, like the game that can't be mentioned, there's a lot of merch for that, and I seem to own quite a lot of it, to be fair. People who love Silent Hill, this must be a dream for them. To really see the series just get renewed like this. Now, as you said, there's a lot of other games here that I'm sure that you guys really picked out that really spoke to yourselves. So I'm going to pass this on. I'll come across to yourself, actually, Phil. What stood out to you during this? Was there any single game that you thought, ooh, I like the look of that?
Well, it's got to be Silent Hill 2 remake. And it'd be the one that I thought you would have picked, Davey, because it is the lowest hanging fruit, because out of the rest of them, didn't really see a lot. I mean, the Silent Hill F stuff, that did seem relatively interesting, setting kind of that oriental setting, I believe. And there was lots of like very artistic colour juxtapositions within the video, which for me, it just like tickled the back of my neck, which I really liked. But Silent Hill 2, my God, I'm down for that game. Loved the original. I have it up on my shelf. I'm proud that I have a collector's edition of that up on my shelf. So yeah, I'll be buying that day one, and I cannot wait to dig into a bit of Silent Hill.
I gotta say, it's an amazing get for PlayStation. It really is. You know, to have 12 months exclusivity on console is a big deal, especially for a game like this, Silent Hill 2. Like, when you talk about the biggies from PS2 generation, I mean, your mind would go to Metal Gears, or mine would anyway. But then shortly after that, it's going to Silent Hill. Like, the game that Carmen mentioned didn't really make too much of a splash at this generation other than the fourth entry. SH2 was the shit. Like, that is the survival horror game from that entire generation. Easy, hands down. And one of the best games of all time. There is no one that would refute that it really is one of the best games. And especially for myself, Silent Hill 2 would have been the easy choice. And I was kind of banking on the fact that one of you guys would surely bring it up. You know, if we got through all of this, nobody mentioned it, it would have been wild. For me, Silent Hill 2 is, I remember when I played that game, I came to it way late. I came to it, my first ever proper girlfriend when I was 16. And we played it together in her bedroom on like a tiny little TV, like a 20-inch TV or something. And I was shitting my pants the entire way through it. It was a terrifying experience, and one that, when you finish it, just plays on your mind for days. One of those games that just stays on the tip of your brain, and you cannot let it go, and you feel like you want to have another dive through and see what you could have done differently.
My only slight concern with remaking such a game as Silent Hill 2 was, when I think back to that title, the things that made it scary was how janky the game was, right? And kind of like console limitations. You know, as we talk a lot about the game that cannot be mentioned, and kind of like they had to load different elements, so they had the door opening, and that really brought something to the series, right? And now they've removed that, and for us, we still love the series, but it does take something away. I do miss those doors opening. With Silent Hill 2, it was the fog, wasn't it? Because they couldn't load too many features further along, and like the line of sight was blurred because of it, and the controls were really bad. You know, pretty much everything about the game was bad outside the story, which really held up. So I'm a little bit worried that now we're going to get a really quite polished game here. So let's hope the story lives up to that, and we're able to get a good Silent Hill 2 here without them over polishing it and it losing that kind of, I don't know, touch that we remember so fondly.
There is something to that, though. I mean, there definitely is something to that. And that's always the worry, especially where you've got a game like this. Now, from what we've seen so far in the very limited gameplay that was shown and in the trailer, with Silent Hill 2, it looks like they've gone down an art style which isn't great to look at. I'm not going to lie. I wasn't blown away by it. I didn't think, oh, this looks, incredible. This looks like, what the game that can't be mentioned 4 or anything like that looks like. It's not gone for photorealism. It's gone for like a modern, upscaled kind of almost look of a PS1 game. Like, it looked weirdly like it. I don't really know how to describe it. It's like the art style's kind of off slightly, that it's not going for photorealism. It's very strange, but it worked. And in terms of the volumetric fog, which they're going to be banging on about all the time, because that's the new buzzword in the industry, it's going to be a great tech demo for that. To be able to show just how thick that fog can be and how that reflects light. It's going to be a great way to be able to test out what the PS5 can do with that kind of level. Control-wise, it's going to be the big one. And if you do modernize it too much, it will lose what makes it great. You think about the reason why I love remakes so much. It's because it's still tank controls. It's still the same item conservation. It's still everything that makes the original one for the game that can't be mentioned so good so many years later. They need to make sure that they walk this delicate line where you put things in so that people who've never played it before can enjoy that, but also stay true to what that true vision is. And when a remake's done it well, because it will saddle that line and do it in such a way that what's came before, and it might be a different experience, kind of entirely. But it still evokes those same emotions and that same kind of fear that you get from the older titles. And a game like the game that can't be mentioned 2, in its remake, did that exceedingly well. So it's going to be a tricky one. And I think this is going to be one of those ones that we can look at, and it's going to be either a hit or a fucking miss. I don't think it's going to hit the middle on this. I think it's one of those two. Unfortunately, Bloober Team, who are developing it, aren't exactly the best studio to put this on. just for context here, listener, they're the guys who made The Medium. And they make Layers of Fear. I mean, it's a fucking big deal for them to step up and be able to run this. So you better hope to God that they're pulling out all the stops on this, because this is one that's going to be poured through minute details by the Silent Hill community. You think the community for the game that can't be mentioned is bad? No way. SH are a different level. If something's even remotely not in, if the dog ending isn't in, fucking hell, it's going to be chaos. So it's going to be an interesting one.
Just to jump in on that dog comment, well, we already know that that's going to be in because there's merch for it already.
That's true. That's true. It'd be wild if they didn't include it at this point, surely. But, we'll have to see. Spence, you've been oddly quiet on this. Have you got anything you want to add about Silent Hill 2?
100% I have stuff to say. So, as we know, when we started this podcast, I had never really played a game that we can't mention. Never played any of them. Well, now I've played majority of them. I haven't played all of them. But, similar to that game, I've never played a Silent Hill. To this day, I've never played any of them. So, this remake, I watched the trailer. It looked absolutely fantastic. It looks like exactly what I'd want from this game. And, I mean, what better way to get me into the series than this? I mean, the two trailers of note were obviously 2 Remake and F, Silent Hill F. 2 Remake was a lot more my language. It looked really good, looked polished. The skin, like when he touched his face and stuff, you could see the skin like creasing and move. It was so detailed. It was weird, but it was cool. And like you said, the volumetric fog, they're going to be mentioning that in every single showing. 100%. But it's good. It's good. If they get the fog right and the ray tracing, the way light refracts off of it, it's going to be so cool. It's going to be great. And it'd just be a great way to get me into the series. Silent Hill F, that trailer, I didn't like that trailer. It just grossed me out, man. I mean, it looked really good and I'd love to play the game because it looks really cool. But, you know, it shows the pores opening on the hand and stuff coming out the holes. I was like, oh, no. Ooh, get away from me.
I'm really surprised about your thoughts on that, Spence, because to me it was just evoking The Last of Us. I was just like, it's The Last of Us, but Silent Hill. That's what I was thinking. Obviously, it's not. It's all just it's selling the fact that it's an Asian-inspired environment, and I'm all up for seeing where Silent Hill can go in a brand new place. I mean, like The Room and things like that. They all did it slightly differently, but fuck yeah, I'm all up for having this like kind of Oriental-inspired video games. We seem to have a lot of them at the moment. Seem to be kind of in vogue, especially with a lot of the kind of samurai stuff that seems to be happening at the moment. Chuck me in. Another survival horror game. Fucking I'm in. You know, I am in a AAA survival horror. I know I'm saying this. I swear to God, I'm saying this every single episode at the moment. But we are in a fucking renaissance at the moment for 2 genres, and it's fighting and it's survival horror. And boys, we are eating good. Every single time, we are eating well. I'm going to be dying of some medieval disease like Henry VIII, you know, where he died of, gout? I'm going to die of that just because I'm eating too much rich food and getting all the survival horror in. I'm going to be absolutely massive, bloated on survival horror experiences. Throw them at me and I will gobble them all up. Ham. Cannot wait. So in for this. Survival, Silent Hill F, day one for me. Yeah, need to see more, obviously, but I'm sold on the idea.
Well, talking of eating good, we have been eating so well tonight on this episode because Quick News was a success. The wrestling impressions have been off the chain crazy, guys. So we're going to run through the highs and the lows. Obviously, the highs don't mean anything other than a little boost to our ego. So I'm going to come over to you first, Davey. What was your favourite of the night?
My favourite of the night wasn't even an impression, but it was a movement. And it was Spencer's forward roll. It was pulled off to perfection. I don't even know what that was for. I think it was for Austin 316. Stone Cold.
Yeah.
Fucking hell. How do you not know a Stone Cold impression is wild? But to be able to...
You could do one just straight away, couldn't you?
Oh, because Stone Cold said so. Like, super easy.
What?
What? Dun dun dun.
It's the rattlesnake. Get the 2 cans.
Yeah, easy. So
Dun,
many.
dun, 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 dun.
Wow. Oh, so good. Anyway, to be able to pull off that forward roll with such grace, I felt like I was watching a gymnastics showing, where at the end, the only thing that would have made it better, and my only critique, is that if you'd stood up after it and done this. You know, like done on gymnastics, where they stand up straight after, with their arms up. If you'd done that, that would have been a perfect 10 out of 10. But for me, it's solid 9 out of 10, way higher than everything else we heard tonight. And it's a really, just an incredible moment in my life that I don't think I'll ever see again. So thank you for that. Thank you for showing me there's more to live for.
That's all right. Thank you, mate. I'm glad you appreciated it. Thank you very much.
Right, we're coming over to you, Spence. What was your favourite of the night? Remember, this means nothing.
It does mean nothing. Can you run me through? I think my favourite was Davey's first one, but I can't remember who it was.
So Davey did The Rock, Devon Dudley. He did The Big Show and The Undertaker. I did Chris Benoit, Ric Flair, Triple H. Well, we'll be doing Triple H and Eddie Guerrero. Then Spence, you had John Cena, Mankind, Rey Mysterio, and Stone Cold.
I had 2 of those. 2 of them I definitely didn't have. I just didn't do it. Yeah, I think my favourite of the evening was actually Davey's The Rock. He came in with so much energy, and as soon as I heard that impression, I knew I was screwed because of the amount of volume you displayed. And I was like, I can't compete with that. My dad would come in and smack me. I can't be that loud. So I had to make up for it in other means. But you went the traditional approach and gave me a 1-to-1 impression of The Rock. And I very much enjoyed it. Thank you, mate.
Thank you very much. Thank you. So, Phil, lay it on us. What's your favourite?
My favourite of tonight was yours, Davey. It wasn't The Rock. It wasn't The Big Show or The Undertaker. It was your Devon Dudley. Even though I didn't ask for that at the start, we quickly recovered to find a wrestler you did know. It wasn't D'Lo Brown, but your Devon Dudley, get the tables. I appreciated that. You just missed out the 3D.
Oh, of course, the 3D. Yeah, I did miss that. Yeah, it's a damn shame.
But well done. A little boost to your ego.
Thank you, mate.
Now moving on to the worst. This is where it gets serious, boys. This is where the shots are handed out. Spencer, coming to you first. Who are you going for? The worst of tonight. Who was your least favourite?
I think my least favourite, I'm sorry to say this, Davey, your Undertaker. I didn't want the motorcycle. I wanted you to just vape until your coil was burnt, get your room as foggy as you could, and just recline your chair and rise it up with you like just kind of looking at me, and you went the other approach, which was good, but it wasn't what I wanted.
That's totally fair. That's totally fair. I was trying to think how I could make that work. This chair doesn't recline though. And,
does it not?
No, it doesn't recline. I did think about this. I tried with the lights, and it was turning into a
Could a light on the floor?
You wouldn't see me though. You wouldn't. It was.
Try it now. We'll see you. I'm sure we can see you. We'll zoom in.
You see me here?
Yep.
Yeah, it'd have been bad. It'd have been bad.
Yeah, it's still the worst.
It was bad. It was bad.
Yeah, it wouldn't have worked. Wouldn't have worked. So I made a judgment call on it. I did the best I could. But I completely understand your opinion.
Time for some payback. Davey, what was the worst for you of tonight?
Oh, well, Spencer's backwards roll was awful. It was the opposite. Whereas I praised the forwards roll so much, right? The backwards roll was. Remember, these things are brought up because he cannot do the impressions. He can't know who the wrestler is, so it's already at minus points, right? Immediately minus points because it's not even remotely what we're asking. It's a punishment.
He did kind of know who the wrestler was, though, right? He put a mask on and he did know the 619.
But he did none of that. There was none of that. So,
but chose to avoid the things he knew about the wrestler.
I wore a mask.
Chose to completely bin everything he knew away. Not even try and do a probably would have been quite racist, but it might have been quite amusing. Mexican accent. Didn't even try anything like that. Just went straight up. I don't know what to do, lads. So next thing you know, he's in his pants and he's doing a backwards roll, and he not only was it bad form, but you also got the spacing wrong. And so you ended up doing a halfway over and then nearly falling off the bed. And it was hilarious.
I was literally at the bottom of the bed. There was no space for me to use. You haven't done a backwards roll since you were 8 years old. Trust me, if you go to your bed and try to do a backwards roll, you will hit the headboard.
That's how I'm going to get into bed tonight.
I'm going to backwards roll it. Yeah, backwards roll it.
It won't work.
I might backflip it.
Record it and send it. Record it and send it to me. Trust me, I bet it'll be about the same as mine.
Oh dear God, dear God. Well, regardless, it was just bad. It was bad. If you'd at least attempted the impression, it would have had some redeeming factors. And it was. You've seen the good and the bad with this. Your athletic ability was poor on that occasion. We were pressuring you for a backflip that never came. So this was a step down from the backflip. It was a disappointment. It was a disappointment, and that's why it's my worst.
I'll remember that.
Threatening. Well, Spence, I'm sorry, because I cannot choose anything else. And for all the reasons Davey said and more, because I've not laughed that hard in a long time. And I've got my next door neighbour texting me asking what's so funny because he's heard me laugh through the wall. Because I laughed so hard at you messing up your roll on your bed. You just misjudged it and your legs got all caught up. And I thought, has he hurt himself here? You know, you are getting older. You are getting to that point where you could hurt yourself doing something like that. You're not 15-year-olds anymore. You know, performing in front of a webcam for two boys who are pressuring you into doing gymnastic moves.
I spaced it as well as I could. That's all I can say, really.
Wasn't good enough.
I'm upset with your boy's decision, but I can't argue it. So there was literally no more space. My boiler's at the bottom of my bed. There's nothing more I could have done.
It's the way the cookie crumbles.
It is the way the cookie crumbles, and that cookie has crumbled. So let's move it on to the next part of the show.
Stop! Topic time!
So, boys and girls, hello listeners and watchers, we have arrived to the topics. And topics is kind of a weird today. We don't actually have a topic as such, more just things we'd like to discuss. So, as people know, Gotham Knights just came out. And it turns out it's locked at 30 FPS. There's no options to change it. It's just locked at 30. So I guess the big thing I'd kind of want to ask you boys, do you think that's a big deal? I mean, it's kind of different to what we're getting at the moment. We've always said we like choice. So is this an issue for you boys? Did this cancel your pre-order? What do you think?
I mean, I wasn't pre-ordered anyway, regardless what FPS we were getting, be that 30 or 60 with this type of game. But guys, I've got a bit of an admission. I don't think it matters, really. For the games I really, really enjoy on PlayStation, because I'm not a competitive guy on PlayStation. I tend not to play the online games very much. It tends to be just with you guys as a bit of fun. I don't take them as seriously as you guys. The FPS side of things, it doesn't really, really impact me that much. Obviously, we love choice. And it's something that we always bang on about on this show. The more choice, the better. The more different ways the consumers can play the games and absorb those games, the better, in my opinion. So locking it down to anything is ridiculous. If they just locked it down to 60 FPS, I think I'd have the same concerns because there's no choice there. But for me, if it was locked to 30 FPS and it was a title I really wanted to play, I'd play it. I would.
I mean, to be fair, there's loads of games in the past that we've done that for. And we've actually specifically chosen 30 FPS rather than 60 to be able to get maybe a better resolution or what ray tracing, whatever it is, right? I think what you're saying there really resonates with me in terms of you've got to have that choice for the consumer. And if there's not a choice, you've got to explain what the issue is.
Just seems to be red flag after red flag. And you're right, Davey. You know, it's not really about the 30 FPS here because, as you said, yeah, we played games at that FPS in the past and it's not really been a big deal. But we're relating this to the Gotham Knights game here. And there's just problem after problem and people are, you know, getting sneak peeks of it and the reviews are being real rough. So, yeah, it's just a game that, for me, I was never really interested in anyway. And I'm definitely not now. I don't know about yourself, Spence.
I mean, yeah, I kind of agree with you boys. Choice is always the best, but when referring to this in terms of Gotham Knights, obviously, I was never keen for that game. Never keen for that game. It's looked bad every single time they've shown it, and there was the one time they showed it, and Twitter was kind of like, "Oh, Gotham Knights looks good." No, it didn't. No, it didn't. It never looked good. They've never shown a single thing that looked good, and then people were like, "No, it might be good though." Oh, it's locked at 30. Oh, even more bad news. I mean, there are gamers that like 30. There are people who don't even tell the difference, Mr. SSJ Davey. But I can't not play 60. There are some games where it's fine, and other games where it's really not. Games tend to have different kind of... There's usually like different versions of 30, where some games you know it's 30, and some games you don't. Like I remember playing Horizon Forbidden West over yours, Davey, and that was at 30, and I didn't even... It felt smooth. It felt like a really strong 30. But then there are other games where it's like you can see the game pausing, or at least I can, in between, and it really irks me. So, like you boys said, choice is always so important, and I choose to play 60. So there's no chance I'm ever going anywhere near Gotham Knights unless it gets a patch and an overhaul and a re-release, and it's £2.
I think for me, the problem here as well is the IP. If it's not Batman and it's not like the Joker, am I really that bothered about playing Robin? It's not that strong for me. I've always been a Marvel rather than a DC guy. And maybe I shouldn't be that way, but I am, a PlayStation rather than an Xbox. I was RE versus Silent Hill, right? I've always taken sides, and on this one, I'm definitely Marvel. So, unfortunately, the draw isn't there for the IP. And I think that's probably a bit different for yourself, Davey, because you transcend IPs when it comes to comic books. You like both sides of the coin here.
Yeah, I'm definitely more of a Marvel fan than I am a DC. However, when it comes to graphic novels, I find that the DC graphic novels are much better just to pick up, and you can read them at any point. Whereas it seems to be like a Marvel one, you get a graphic novel and it's got like the main event might be like 6 comics, and then you get 2 comics before for random different things, maybe like be X-Men 137 and Black Panther 26, and then like it ends then with 2 other random comics, whereas the DC is like Batman The Long Halloween. Here it is. This is it. This is the complete story. This is it told. And it sits on its own, and you don't need to know what happened before. Where in the timeline is this set? It's just an entertaining read. And so I've kind of gone back and forth, because I've read quite a few Supermans now, and I've read a lot of Batmans over the years, but my heart and what my dad got me into really is Marvel. That's my bread and butter. But I suppose the big thing is, Phil, is because you haven't played the Batman games yet. I know you've got them and they're sitting on the shelf, and it's finding the right time, isn't it, more than anything? If you play those games, I think then you would have been at a level that we were, where it was like in for this. Like, it doesn't have to do much to sell itself. It's Batman Arkham games with co-op. Fucking brilliant. Like, that should be an absolute knockout. Like, there's no way you can fuck that up. And they've just managed to just show it. It is so wrong. It's just unbelievably wrong. And what I love is, at the moment, and it's I shouldn't say I love this, but I have been enjoying it, is seeing the pictures that people have put up of Arkham Knight on PS4 and then Gotham Knights. And there's like 7 years between them. And Arkham Knight looks better. And you think, how? How is this possible? If they said, right, well, we've lowered it to 30 because it's co-op. So you've got 2 of you, you've got free roam of the city, so you're not going to be tethered together, you're not going to warp together if you go too far out. You do whatever you want. You've got Arkham City as your playground. Do whatever you want. You're both impacting the same game world at the same time. That's why it's 30.
That sounds amazing, and I think we'd all accept that 100%.
But then you'd expect, though, your graphics should be top fucking notch. Like, they should be incredible. They should be way better than what came on PS4. Like, way better. But they're not. Why? With that and this whole fucking random stuff they built in to kind of keep player longevity in, everything was ringing off that this was not going to be a heartfelt game. And you can feel games where there is love and attention and care pulled into them. And this didn't feel like that. It felt like back on PS3 generation, we used to get kind of middleware titles. Games that were what we deemed back then double A. And it was a step down from a triple A. This felt like that. And it shouldn't. Because this is one of those IPs that should be cherished. You know, the Arkham games, Christ, if you even remotely tried to release alongside an Arkham game back on PS3 generation, you were asking for suicide. Because that was the crowning example of what a superhero game could be. The absolute masterclass for it before Spider-Man came along. And now it's what it is. It's just a game that's, is going to be reduced to 30 quid in a matter of weeks. And then is going to be going up probably on PS Plus within a year and a half. It just ain't going to do it. It ain't going to cut the mustard. And 30 FPS is the least of their concerns when it came to this game.
I mean, big speech man Davey coming through, doing what he does best. Bless. We did kind of go off the rails. The original question, obviously, is 30 FPS in 2022 kind of a big deal? So I'm going to ask you boys, obviously this was the case with Gotham Knights. This is what happened, and although it wasn't that important, it clearly didn't help the game. You kind of mentioned something about this earlier, Phil, where a big game, a game that you're looking forward to, a game that you anticipate, would 30 FPS kind of hamper your hype for the game? You kind of referenced that. So I'm trying to think of a good example for this. Let's say a game like Call of Duty Modern Warfare, we're about to play, we're all going to be playing together. If that was locked at 30 FPS, would that kind of hinder your decision? Would that kind of change how you view the game?
I think with that example, it would. Yeah, because it's a competitive game and it'll be online. I think then you're looking at the FPS much more closely because it has an impact in your game. But if we related it to something like Death Stranding, for example, a single-player narrative game, then I don't think the 30 FPS is an issue at all for me.
Yeah, I gotta jump on that. I gotta jump on that 100% because that's exactly what it is. It all depends on genre. It definitely depends on genre. If you're talking about a shooter and it's locked to 30, we used to play those on PS3 generation, and it was fine. It was all right. Times have moved on for that, and it wouldn't feel smooth. It would definitely feel off. It definitely would. And as Spence alluded to earlier, well, he didn't allude to it, he actually just called me out for it straight away. I can't see a fucking difference between 30 and 60, but you can goddamn feel it when you play an FPS. That's for damn sure. I went back and played an older FPS not too long ago, and it wasn't good.
Are those Resistance servers still up, Davey? You're still on there, Resistance 2. I'm trying to own up.
He knows talking about Resistance. Yeah, it was rough. It was rough to transition to. Whereas if you got a third person RPG-esque game or a story-based game, what's the issue? Take in the visuals, get the enhanced fidelity. Fine.
I'll tell you what, boys. I agree with what you're saying. I actually agree with you boys almost entirely. I think the main thing for me, even though Call of Duty is a competitive game, I don't think it would actually be that hindered if it was 30 FPS. It would feel less smooth. But the fact is, it would still be an equal playing field. I think the main issue is where cross-play comes into it. So games that can play with PC. Because obviously PC, uncapped frame rates. If we're limited to 30, and the Call of Duty players on PC are playing at 240 FPS with their 240 ms monitors, that's where it's kind of ropey. I think if we're all on a level playing field, everyone's capped to 30, it sucks. It really does suck, but I don't think it would hinder the experience that much. It would probably drop the sales, especially on PC, but it'd be fine as long as the playing field is equal. So I agree with both you boys. I really do agree with you, but I think crossplay is probably the biggest factor when it comes to limited frame rates when it's console exclusive, frame rates. Console exclusive frame rates are mad term, but yeah, I think that's probably the big issue for me.
What's quite nice on this is that we're all kind of tied up on this in the same way. We're all coming out of the same line of thinking in terms of it doesn't really matter too much as long as it suits the game. And I suppose that's the most important thing. Like, going back to Gotham Knights, the 30 FPS isn't the issue here. It's the actual game itself. Whereas if something like God of War, we just had those specs just announced. I don't know if you want to run through those, Spence.
Of course, mate. So God of War Ragnarok is launching with 4 different modes of play. And that's favor resolution, which is 4K resolution with 30 FPS locked. Favoring performance, which is 60 FPS locked. It doesn't say the frame rate. Favor resolution, but with a high frame rate, which is 40 with 4K, 40 FPS. So not 60, but 40. And favoring performance, which is the high frame rate, which is the Call of Duty frame rate, of 120 FPS. Now, the thing is, we've all played games, like single player narrative driven games, and we play them differently. Like, Dave, when you and I played Demon Souls, you played on the 4K 30, and I played on the 60 FPS. We did that differently, but that's because I can see the difference. You literally were like, what do you mean? It's exactly the same, except that rock over there looks a bit nicer. It was weird, but that's the way it goes. Out of these 4 modes, which one do you think you boys will be playing on? Phil, I'm going to pass it to you first.
I mean, I'm resolution all day long for this. I'm not about the performance, especially when it comes to something like God of War, single play story experience. I'm down for resolution. I just want to be blown away with those 4K graphics for me.
I mean, that's fair enough. Davey, how about you?
My favorite is always the middle road. And every time a game offers this, I always jump on it. So to have a 40 FPS but 4K version, hell yeah. That is definitely me. That is 100% me. Now, if I flick between that and the 30, and the 30 looks that much shinier, looks that much better, that blood is like coated on him, I'm going to the 30. Because it won't bother me whatsoever. It really won't. But after playing Ratchet, having that 40 mode, or having that kind of like that ray tracing plus mode or whatever it was, fam, sign me up for any of those. Sign me up for that. I will lick that up like a cat in milk. The age-old sound effect is back. Yes, that is definitely me. That's speaking to me 100%. What about yourself, Spence?
Yeah, I mean, that's basically what I expected from you boys, not going to lie. I know what I like to do. I usually like to test a game. Every time I get a game, I usually try out all the modes. The first one I will 100% try is the 4K 30. And that's mostly because of when I tried Horizon over yours, Davey. The 30 felt like 60. There was some smoothing going on. I don't know what it was, but it felt really smooth. And if this is a smooth 30, I might be okay with playing it. I actually might, but I'll need to test it. Whereas if that fails, then 4K 40 is 100% going to be the one for me. Unless somehow I can tell the difference between 60 and 40, which I can with 30 and 60. I can. 40 and 60 is a bit close. I don't know if I'll be able to tell the difference, and I'm hoping I can't. I really hope I can't, because I'd love to play this game in 4K. It's going to be beautiful. But if I can, I will end up dropping it to 60. The smooth gameplay is more important to me than how it looks, and that's just the way I'm wired. So I'm hoping to play 4K 40, but in failing so, I will drop to 60 FPS.
So I guess that leaves us with the question: who is going to play it on the 120 FPS level? Who's that for? I don't really understand, because Spence, you're normally the one that likes the higher frame rates. Who wants a higher frame rate than you?
I mean, the only people I can really see it being aimed for are the Call of Duty players and stuff who like smooth and they're used to 120 FPS. People that have the 120 ms monitors and stuff. I don't have one. So me playing 120 would literally be meaningless. It would look exactly the same as 60 to me. But if you have the capability, if you have the technology to play it, it might blow your mind. For all I know, I've never really played a genuine 120 FPS. So I'd imagine it's just for people that own the technology and just think, yeah, I'd like to try that. May as well. They probably, the result of this mode is probably due to the PS4 base, well, the base PS4. It's probably on those settings, and they've just said, how much FPS can this run if we do it on a PS5? Oh, 120. Let's just make that a mode. So it's probably on the PS4 settings, and it just runs 120 instead of 30, which I bet it does on the PS4.
It'd be really interesting to see some of the statistics, maybe like a couple of months into the game, to see which one most people play on. You know, what's the preferred option. And I don't know, does that ever come out from PlayStation? I don't know if they ever share those kind of like analytics when it comes to games. Like what's the most favored kind of option here when it comes to resolution, performance, what people are choosing? Because as someone that, I suppose, someone new coming into this ecosystem of PlayStation and coming onto a PlayStation 5 and having these options, it might be really confusing for people. Which one do you choose? Which one's the recommended one?
I mean, yeah, you're right. PlayStation don't release those analytics. They just don't. But the beautiful thing, Phil, is we have a platform now. So when this game releases, we'll be releasing a poll with all the modes. And listeners, you can tell us what you're playing on. We'd love to hear it.
And I think that ties up this episode. I mean, the great thing about it is with this question, we're all coming down on the same line of thinking. And it's made this really straightforward in a way, because we're all saying that it doesn't matter what the game is. It doesn't matter what it's trying to do. It all just depends on what experience it's trying to deliver. And if it's true to that, and if it complements that, then it doesn't matter. We'll play it in whatever. Put ray tracing on it, and Christ, I'll play everything in 30. But ray tracing seems to be in short supply these days. And I suppose, guys, on that note, it's time for us to end this episode. We've gone on quite a long time. I mean, before editing, right now, we were 1 hour 40 just on Quick News. Quick News, we might need to rebrand on the name, guys, because it's anything but quick these days. We're really going long on it these days, and I am enjoying it. And speaking of enjoying it, if you've enjoyed the show, then please remember to put a 5-star review onto Spotify or any podcast service that you listen to us on. If you're on YouTube, then remember a like button is always appreciated, and subscribe to the channel. We're 107 subscribers. Appreciate all of you that are coming along. And if you're a Spotify only listener and you haven't checked us out on YouTube, come along and have a look. We do little clips of the episode that we put out, just YouTube shorts, and they're always quite fun. I try and put a unique little spin on how I've edited those up. And you get little side bits like we did for the Resident Evil.
No way.
He's done it. He's done it. Second show.
Oh my god.
Fuck me. I've gone all show. I've been so careful. We've done so many things that are the game that can't be mentioned. And here I am inflicting another shot on myself. Brilliant. Great job. Fucking great job, Davey. Cheers. Cheers, mate. Fuck me. I'm going to regret that one next week when we settle some of these debts. As I was saying, we do spin-off content like we did for the Game That Can't Be Mentioned showcase. So go along and check it out. Honestly, you won't regret it. And this has been episode 54. I've been Davey.
I've been Phil.
And I've been Spencer.
Take care, guys.
Peace.
In PS We Trust is hosted by Davey, Phil, and Spencer. You can write into the show via our email, pswetrust@gmail.com. Our Twitter is @InPSWeTrust. To find each of us online, follow our Twitters, @SSJDavey, @PhilipHoy, @SpenPie_. Thank you for listening. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other. See ya.